Chapter 501, C502 The embarrassed Yi Junline. It's no wonder that Luo Qingwu was shocked. She had always thought that the ancestor of her own sect was at the middle level among the ranks of the immortals in the Qingtian Great Domain, and was definitely no match for a strong man of the level of Shu Zhen Immortal Venerable. As a result, the scene in front of her greatly overturned her cognition. Oh my god, the ancestor! Tang Yaoyao covered her delicate lips with both hands, her beautiful eyes filled with deep shock. Your ancestor was beaten so badly. The great Mushroom King showed sympathy and shrank his neck. Looking at the immortal venerable Shu Zhen who was beaten on the ground, he mistakenly thought that the other party was the ancestor of the Wanjiyu immortal sect. If you keep fighting, you will really be beaten to death. Hearing the screams, Kanglang Jun hurriedly said. Yi Junline raised his eyebrows. The ancestor of this Shu Zhen temple is really rampant. He actually beat people into that state in public. Is this the strength of the strongest man in the Qingtian Great Domain? That's right, Yi Junline also recognized the wrong target. Now seeing this scene, he subconsciously regarded the middle-aged man who had an absolute advantage as Shu Zhen Shanzun, but he didn't know that the other party was the ancestor of the Wanjiyu Xian sect. Leave it to me. Seeing the critical situation, Yi Junline dodged and his fist burst into infinite light, smashing out like a star. What? The Changsheng Patriarch, who was in a state of excitement, felt a huge crisis in his heart, and his hair stood up, and his whole body was cold. This was a death threat he had never felt before. Heaven supporting seal. The Changsheng Patriarch immediately formed a seal with both hands, and a huge white immortal seal condensed in front of him. The pattern of the immortal seal was like a god standing upright, full of unmoving and majestic meaning. Bang! The immortal seal was hit by the golden fist light and soon shattered. The Changsheng Patriarch was struck by lightning, and his body flew back more than 10 feet, with an incredible look in his eyes. He barely managed to stabilize his body. His blood and chi were surging like a raging river, and there was a hint of blood gushing out of his throat, but he swallowed it back abruptly. His face looked very ugly. This heaven-supporting seal was a defensive immortal technique that he was proud of. No matter how many magical powers the enemy had, he had the confidence to block it with this seal. Moreover, when he used the heaven-supporting seal, there were 29 million immortal rules to bless him, so the power could be imagined. But in this case, he was blown up by a punch. How powerful was this punch? The Changsheng Patriarch was afraid in his heart, and looked at the silver-haired young man who suddenly appeared in front of him as if he was facing a great enemy, and said in a deep voice. Who are you? He subconsciously regarded Yi Junline as the helper of Shu Zhen Immortal Venerable. Oh, nothing happened. Yi Junline's eyes showed a strong interest. The few immortal masters he met before could hardly block his punch, but he didn't expect that the other party not only blocked it, but also was still fine. It seems that this Shu Zhengguan Patriarch is worthy of being the strongest person in Qingtian Domain. Yi Junline did not directly answer Changsheng Patriarch's question, but reached out to help the skinny man who was beaten half to death. Daoyu, how are you? Shu Zhen Immortal Venerable never dreamed that he would be beaten so badly one day, but he never thought that there would be a mysterious strong man who had never met to help him. And his strength was so terrifying that he beat Changsheng Patriarch back with one punch. It's really a blessing and a curse. Fortunately, Daoyu helped me, I am really grateful. Shu Zhen Immortal Venerable said excitedly with his hands covered in blood. Although he didn't know why the other party wanted to save him, he saved him, and he was willing to pay many prices to repay this favor afterwards. It's okay, it's a handy thing. Yi Junline waved his hand. Then, he turned his head to look at Luo Qingwu and Tang Yaoyao, and his eyes indicated that your ancestor had been saved by me. As a result, he saw these two women looking at him in astonishment. What does it mean? Yi Junline frowned, instinctively aware that something was wrong. Daoyu, please help me kill that guy, and I will do my best to compensate you afterwards. Shu Zhen Shanzun said in a deep voice. He looked at Changsheng Laozu with resentment, and the anger of revenge was burning in his heart. Changsheng Laozu was very afraid of Yi Junline. After all, he had just experienced a move and knew how powerful the opponent was. Wait, Yi Junline almost suspected that his ears had heard wrongly, because he caught a key word. Shu Zhengguan, isn't that the hostile force of Wanjiyu Shanzong? Thinking of this, Yi Junline suddenly looked at the skinny man in front of him, and said with a look of surprise, You are Shu Zhen Shanzun. Yes, didn't you know it before? Shu Zhen Shanzun looked puzzled. Yi Junline looked at the middle-aged man, and then at the immortal master Shu Zhen in front of him, and suddenly felt absurd. So I saved the wrong person. So embarrassing. Fellow Taoist Yi, you saved the ancestor of Shu Zhen Temple. That is the ancestor of our sect. At this moment, Luo Qingwu came back to her senses from the shock, and couldn't help but point her finger, shouting excitedly. Yes, Senior Yi, you saved the wrong person. Tang Yaoyao said anxiously. Ah, this, Kanglang Jun and the Great Mushroom King were caught off guard and looked at each other. This is too embarrassing. It's Xiao Luo. Seeing Luo Qingwu, the eyes of the Changsheng patriarch flashed with a strange color. Then, he thought of something, looked at Yi Junlin with a strange look, and explained. This fellow Taoist Yi, I am the ancestor of the Wanji Yu Xian sect, and my Taoist name is Changsheng. Yi Junlin wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl into, feeling very puzzled. The information misled me. Didn't they say that the ancestor of Shujun Temple was very powerful? Who of you two is the strongest person in Qingtian domain? Save the wrong person. Shujun Immortal Venerable was dumbfounded. What's the situation? Taoist friend, aren't you here to help me? Never mind, let's escape first. Shujun Immortal Venerable gritted his teeth and used a secret technique to escape from the scene. Yi Junlin felt ashamed, and now seeing Shujun Immortal Venerable was about to escape, a surge of anger surged in his heart, and he directly attributed all the faults to the other party. Damn, it's all your fault. Go to hell. He threw a punch, going all out, without reservation. No, Shujun Immortal Venerable, who was already seriously injured, had no power to resist this punch, and was blown up by a punch in despair, and his soul was destroyed. I have to say, he is really miserable. He came all the way here, but was pressed to the ground and rubbed, and finally died inexplicably in the hands of others. After letting out his anger, Yi Junlin felt much more comfortable. Quiet. The whole place was silent. Whether it was the disciples and elders of the Eternal Immortal Sect or the foreign warriors who were watching the battle secretly, the expressions on their faces were very interesting at this moment. At first, when they saw Yi Junlin forcefully repel the Changsheng patriarch, they thought it was the helper that Shu Zhen Shanzun had found, but they didn't expect him to kill him again. Such a heaven-defying operation almost blinded their eyes. The old ancestor Changsheng felt a chill on his back and said secretly. Where did this monster Xiao Luo find? His strength is ridiculously strong. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 times 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 502. C503 OK, you have taste. After countless years of keeping a low profile, the ancestor of immortality firmly believes in his own strength and has long stood at the top of the blue sky territory. Even if he looks at the entire northern cold immortal territory, he is still ranked among the top 5. But now, a young man of unknown origin directly let him see what true strength is. Fellow Taoist Yi, thank you for helping me get rid of this formidable enemy. I'm very grateful, the immortal ancestor said sternly as he cupped his hands. He would not dare to neglect a strong man of this level. But these words sounded a bit ironic to Yi Junlin. After all, he didn't figure it out just now, so he attacked others. It was so embarrassing. Fortunately, this immortal ancestor is strong enough. If it had been someone like Burning Heaven Immortal Lord, he would have been beaten to death with one punch. If this is the case, then there is no room for redemption at all. Ahem, I just attacked you directly without understanding the situation. I'm really sorry. Yi Junlin pretended to cough a few times and said with an embarrassed expression. Fellow Taoist Yi made a serious statement, but I don't take it to heart. You don't need to blame yourself. The ancestor of immortality said seriously. As a loyal reader of emotional intelligence, he has already memorized the contents by heart, and he knows that in this case, he must not embarrass the other party. Then follow what Taoist fellow Changsheng said. Suddenly, Yi Junlin's expression softened a lot, and he looked at the other party more pleasantly. I wonder which force Dao Yi comes from. The longevity ancestor tentatively asked what he wanted to ask the most. In his opinion, a powerful immortal master like Yi Junlin could never be an unknown person who appeared out of thin air. Ancestor, he is the ascended one I told you before. At this moment, Luo Qingwu secretly transmitted a message. What? The tiger body of the immortal ancestor trembled, and his eyes suddenly changed when he looked at Yi Junlin. A mysterious and powerful man from the Kunlun realm is also the Emperor Yi Tian, who was famous in the northern Hengxian realm a while ago. It is not difficult to explain that he has such incredible strength. It turns out that your excellency is the Emperor Yi Tian. You are disrespectful and disrespectful. The longevity ancestor once again raised his hands and said solemnly. As soon as these words came out, the whole place went from dead silence to sensation. Emperor Yi Tian, he is the Emperor Yi Tian from a while ago. That's right, his hair is silver white, and he looks like a handsome young man. Even his image and characteristics match. Holy crap, this is my idol, he punches an immortal, the most powerful boss in the northern cold immortal realm. Emperor Yi Tian, I love you so much. I really want to be fired by you. The whole place was in an uproar, and there were endless shouts. Among them, there are also very bold remarks that make people call themselves experts. Fellow Taoist immortal, you don't have to call me by my name, just address me as Taoist friend. Yi Junlin said with a bitter smile. He also did not expect that once his identity was exposed, there would be such a sensational effect on the scene. Hearing the implication, the immortal ancestor quickly complimented, Your Majesty, you are so humble. Since you even say that, I will boldly call you a Taoist friend. Fellow Taoist Yi, please come and have a seat with our eternal immortal sect. Good. Facing the invitation, Yi Junlin nodded. Afterwards, the group entered the mountain gate. In the eternal immortal sect, countless disciples and elders lined the streets to welcome him. The crowds of people were crowded, and the shouts became louder and louder. Although they were surprised by the true strength of their ancestor, what was even more surprising was the arrival of the rumored Emperor Yi Tian. This is the unparalleled powerhouse with the loudest reputation in the northern cold immortal domain. Now that they see me in person, how can they not be excited? This is Senior Yi's card. He is the most dazzling presence wherever he goes. I'm really envious, Lord Kanglang said with emotion. From the Kunlun world to the immortal world, he was illuminated by Yi Junlin's light all the way, and he felt deeply in his heart. Luo Qingwu picked up the wine gourd and took a sip. She looked a little depressed and muttered, Damn, isn't there anyone who welcomes me? This is too disrespectful. Tang Yaoyao, who was accompanying him, looked strange. Welcome. To be honest, it's good if they didn't scold you. Tang Yaoyao knew very well that his master was not only notorious in the outside world, but was also rated as a scourge within the sect. How many disciples and elders could possibly welcome it if they hated it so much? Emperor Yi Tian, I am your fan. A true disciple rushed out of the crowd and said with a fervent face, Please engrave my fist. I want to be like you in the future and have the power to kill an immortal with one punch. Huh, what's wrong with your hair? Yi Junlin looked surprised, because he saw that this person actually had a colorful hairstyle. Your Excellency Yi Tiandi, this is the same hairstyle as Brother Wudi. Do you know Brother Wudi, who is very popular recently? He kills like crazy in the Supreme Secret Realm and is simply invincible. I have his hairstyle and add your engraving. I Wang Chong will be invincible from now on. Ha 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 ha. Wang Chong laughed excitedly. Well, the corners of Yi Junlin's mouth twitched a few times. It's really hard to comment on such outrageous ideas. When the ancestor of immortality saw this familiar hairstyle, he suddenly thought of that unbearable memory, veins popped up on his forehead, and he yelled loudly. You bastard, you are a true disciple of our sect after all. What do you mean by doing your hair like this? Now you dare to make such excessive demands to your distinguished guests. It's an even greater crime. Now, you are officially deprived of your status as a true disciple. Go to the cliff of repentance and face the wall for 5 million years before coming back. Ah, Wang Chong, who was full of enthusiasm just now, was dumbfounded when he heard this, as if he couldn't believe that he would face such a harsh punishment. Old ancestor, I was wrong, I was really wrong. Wang Chong felt extremely wronged, but he didn't dare to refute the Changsheng ancestor, so he had to beg for mercy humbly. After all, he just got a new hairstyle and asked his idol for an autograph, but he was punished so severely. Anyone would feel wronged. Ancestor, Wang Chong has performed very well in recent years, and your punishment is too, said Wei Zongju and a group of elders. In the eyes of others, Changsheng ancestor's reaction was very extreme, which was a bit of an exaggeration. Seeing this, Yi Junlin couldn't stand it anymore. After all, this Wang Chong is my true fan, what do you mean by doing this to him? What's wrong with this shamat hairstyle? Are you so anxious? Luo Qingwu and Tang Yaoyao were also surprised, and felt that the ancestor was not as calm and easygoing as before, as if he had a grudge against the owner of this hairstyle. Fellow Taoist Changsheng, I think your behavior is very inappropriate. Yi Junlin deliberately emphasized his tone and showed displeasure. Hearing this, the ancestor Changsheng seemed to be awakened all of a sudden, and then realized his gaffe just now. Sorry, Taoist fellow Yi, I made you laugh. Then, he readjusted his state and said to Wang Chong seriously, don't keep this hairstyle in the future. The punishment I gave you just now does not count. Go back. Thank you, ancestor. Wang Chong breathed a sigh of relief, cast a grateful look at Yi Junlin, and then tactfully retreated back to the crowd. Yi Junlin was also very depressed. Is it a sin to keep this hairstyle? As the ancestor of the sect, you can't stand it. Really speechless. Fellow Taoist Changsheng, why do you seem so disgusted with that hairstyle? Can you tell me the reason? After a while, Yi Junlin couldn't help but ask curiously. The old ancestor Changsheng was silent for a long time. Finally, he squeezed out a sentence from between his teeth. Nothing, I just think this hairstyle is ugly. Yi Junlin said, okay, you have taste, okay. Chapter 503, C504 Outrageous Rumors. As the saying goes, seeing something reminds you of someone. When Changsheng Laozu saw this hairstyle, he would think of the strongest opponent he met in the Supreme Secret Realm that day. That's why he was so repulsive and didn't allow anyone in the sect to have such a weird hairstyle, because he would be broken when he saw it. The reason is so simple. But Changsheng Laozu couldn't say it out loud because of his face, so he directly used the ugly hairstyle as an excuse. And Yi Junlin felt uncomfortable. He wanted to refute but didn't know where to start. In the end, thousands of words could only be gathered into one sentence in his heart, secretly saying. It's true that wild boars can't taste fine bran. Came to the main hall. The group enjoyed the highest treatment. After a few polite words, Changsheng Laozu asked Luo Qingwu, Xiao Luo, why did you kill Lu Tianming from Shujun Temple? The tone seemed to be reproachful, but it was actually full of concern. In the entire Wanjiyu Xianzong, the most promising person of Chongsheng Laozu is Luo Qingwu. He thinks that this girl is extremely talented and unique, and will definitely reach a height beyond his imagination in the future. Therefore, no matter what happens, as long as he can suppress it, it is not a trouble in his eyes, at most it will take some time. Because of him, damn it. Luo Qingwu said in a deep voice. Asshole, no matter what he says, he is the Taoist of Shuzhenguan. You kill him without consulting us. If it weren't for the great magical power of the ancestor, our Wanjiyu Xianzong would have been reduced to ruins before you came back. Wei Zongju was so angry that he blew his beard and glared. The elders nodded, thinking that Luo Qingwu's behavior was too ridiculous, and the entire sect almost suffered a catastrophe because of her. Damn, what identity do you have to dare to talk to me like this? Luo Qingwu was unhappy, and like a gangster, he picked up the table and smashed it on the head of Wei Zongju next to him, hitting him so hard that his head was buzzing and his eyes were full of stars. Sect Master Wei was stunned. He was the leader of a sect after all. How could he be so shameless? The most terrifying thing was that his cultivation seemed to be suppressed, and he could only let the other party repeatedly hit his head with the table. Although the damage was not great, it was extremely insulting. Stop it, I'm the sect master. Wei Qingsheng blushed and shouted with all his strength, trying to use his identity to make Luo Qingwu stop this bad behavior. Unexpectedly, Luo Qingwu became more excited, hitting Wei Qingsheng left and right, and his head was full of lumps, cursing, Wei, who the hell do you think you are? I used to dislike you, and now you dare to teach me a lesson, do you have the right to speak here? Wei Qingsheng was beaten so hard that his head was splitting, and he stretched out his hand tremblingly, Ancestor, save me, save me. This, seeing Luo Qingwu beat the sect master violently, all the elders were dumbfounded on the spot. What's going on? The sect master is a top-notch immortal emperor-level warrior, why was he hit by Elder Luo's table and had no chance to fight back? Among them, only the ancestor Changsheng saw the clue, his eyes were full of suspicion, Xiao Luo, you have been promoted to Immortal Venerable. Huh, how do you know that I was promoted to Immortal Venerable a while ago? Luo Qingwu's mouth curved into a smug smile, thinking that it was finally my turn to show off, and deliberately released a powerful aura of Immortal Venerable level from my whole body. Hiss, Immortal Venerable, the elders gasped in shock, and only then did they know why this woman had such ability. Wei Qingsheng was stunned. All the cultivators in the immortal realm know that there is an insurmountable gap between Immortal Venerable and Immortal Emperor. As long as you become an Immortal Venerable, no matter what your previous identity was, you will be like a fish leaping over the Dragon Gate. No matter how strong the Immortal Emperor is, he will only be an ant in the eyes of the Immortal Venerable. Therefore, his scolding Luo Qingwu just now can be said to be a suicidal act. This is also the reason why Wei Qingsheng felt scared. He even began to feel grateful for Luo Qingwu's attack, because if it was left outside, he would have been slapped to death by other immortals. Haha, Xiao Luo's promotion to immortal is a great thing for my Wanjiyu Xianzong. Changsheng Patriarch felt happy from the bottom of his heart. In his eyes, Luo Qingwu was destined to become an immortal, it was just a matter of time. But now it is obviously fast, and there are only a few such people in the history of the immortal world. Yes, the elders said so, but they were worried about the future trend of the sect. Mr. Wei, what do you think now? Luo Qingwu held the table in one hand and said condescendingly, as if the other party would continue to be scolded by her as long as he said half a wrong word. Wei Qingsheng had a head full of lumps, and his expression was about to cry. I admit that I spoke a little loudly just now. As an elder, you should not bother with me, a small sect master. Hearing this, Yi Junlin called out in his heart that he was against Tiangong. But then he thought, this is the change of status brought by strength, there is nothing to worry about. Luo Qingwu sneered, HMPH, you are sensible. After that, he threw away the table in his hand, sat back on the futon, picked up the wine gourd, opened the cork, and raised his head to drink. Seeing this, the ancestor Changsheng did not blame Luo Qingwu, which shows how biased he is. He asked softly, Xiao Luo, you said Lu Tianming deserves to die, I want to hear the reason. Luo Qingwu put down the wine gourd and wiped his mouth. Ancestor, you don't know, Lu Tianming is the descendant of Taohua Shanzun. I killed him to eliminate a great scourge for the people of the world. Peach Blossom Shanzun. Hearing this familiar name, the ancestor Changsheng widened his eyes in shock, his expression was unbelievable. No way, how come this Taoist disciple of Shu Zhenguan is related to Peach Blossom Immortal Lord? Wei Qingsheng and the others were surprised. This is absolutely true, Luo Qingwu said. My disciple can testify, she is the one who has experienced it from beginning to end. Yao Yao, tell me. Yes. Tang Yao Yao blushed and told Lu Tianming exactly how he broke up the two heart-eating ghosts and the ridiculous things he did with Shu Chunlian. The whole place was silent. Ahem, that's right, this is the most commonly used method by Peach Blossom Immortal. He can make any woman fall in love with him unconditionally and do anything. The immortal ancestor coughed to ease the awkwardness of the situation and said seriously. I'm so envious, an elder murmured. As soon as these words came out, he immediately attracted countless meaningful glances. He was so frightened that he quickly changed his words and denounced with righteous indignation, shameless. This is simply unforgivable. Since he has inherited the mantle of Peach Blossom Immortal Lord, then Lu Tianming really deserves to die, and Shu Zhenguan should not be qualified to pursue him. The immortal ancestor said in a deep voice, send the order and announce this matter to the public. Yes, ancestor. Gradually, the results of this world-famous battle were also conveyed through various channels by many monks who witnessed it. Soon, the news turned into a storm and swept across the entire Qingtian territory. Everyone was talking and rumors were spreading. What did you say? The ancestor of Shu Zhenguan was punched to death. Was it the rumored hand of Emperor Yi Tian? Holy crap, Emperor Yi Tian is so awesome. Can he even kill immortal Shu Zhen with one punch? It's fake. What I heard was that Emperor Yi Tian appeared in the Eternal Immortal Sect, and immortal Shu Zhen was scared to death because he was too scared. Haha, you are even more unreliable. It was clearly Emperor Yi Tian who farted and killed immortal Shu Zhen. As the incident went crazy, various theories were flying all over the place, and the remarks became increasingly outrageous. In short, all the monks in the Qingtian domain know that the ancestor of Shu Zhenguan went to the Eternal Immortal Sect to make trouble, but was killed by Emperor Yi Tian. Soon, more and more monks began to sympathize with Shu Zhenguan's experience. After all, from the perspective of a bystander, Shu Zhenguan looks like the biggest victim. Even if Daozi is dead, now even the ancestor is dead, how can he be so miserable? As a result, the Eternal Immortal Sect publicly declared that Lu Tianming was the descendant of Peach Blossom Immortal Lord. As soon as this news came out, public opinion directly turned towards the Eternal Immortal Sect. Countless monks clapped their hands and applauded, thinking that Luo Qingwu killed well, and reprimanded Shu Zhenguan for being shameless and daring to find trouble. Even the ancestor is dead now, he deserves it. Over at Shu Zhenguan, after hearing the bad news, it felt like the sky was falling. Ancestor, the temple master and the elders knelt down and cried bitterly, facing the direction where Shu Zhen Immortal Lord left. Unexpectedly, when we met that day, we would say goodbye forever. Master Guan, what should we do now? An elder asked sadly. At this point, we can only surrender voluntarily. After all, the Eternal Immortal Sect did not send an army to attack immediately, so we have to appreciate it. The viewer felt sad and reluctantly made a choice after weighing it. This means that Shu Zhenguan has fallen from the altar in the Qingtian domain and has no chance to turn around. Somewhere on the Peach Blossom Mountain, After hearing the news, Bo Chengli pushed the woman in his arms away with a look of shock. What did you say? Is Immortal Shu Zhen dead, or was he killed by someone's fart? Chapter 504, C506 Strange Request. When he heard the news of the death of Immortal Shu Zhen, Bo Chengli was undoubtedly very surprised. The most outrageous thing is that Shu Zhenxianzun's death method was so unusual that it made him feel extremely unreal. Master Bo, this is the rumor that my subordinates have received the most from the outside world. They all say that Immortal Shu Zhen was killed by a strong man named Yi Tiandi who farted to death. Although my subordinates also think it is ridiculous, the woman in purple said. It's hard to show off. You idiot, this is an exaggeration as soon as you hear it. Bo Chengli was so angry that he waved his sleeves and scolded him. In fact, he was really frightened just now, but he must not show this. The woman in purple quickly lowered her head and said yes. Emperor Yi Tian, where did this strong man come from? Just hearing this name makes me feel very strong. Bo Chengli gritted his teeth, a strong look of fear flashed in his eyes. After all, facing Shu Zhen Immortal Lord, even he did not dare to confront him head-on and could only retreat. But he did not expect that such a veteran Immortal Lord would be killed by a strong man of unknown origin. Then how terrifying is this Yi Tiandi's strength? Bo Chengli was horrified when he thought about it carefully. There is no way, he can deal with women with ease, but if he deals with men, his yin and yang siphoning skills will be useless. Without a major source of support, his own abilities will be greatly reduced. Hey, it would be great if this Emperor Yi Tian was a woman. In this case, I could. As his thoughts turned around, Bo Chengli couldn't help but sigh. If Yi Junlin hears it, he will definitely get goosebumps all over his body, and he will definitely kill this crazy guy with one punch. I don't know, compared with that bitch of the great creation domain, this so-called Emperor Yi Tian, who is stronger or weaker? Suddenly, Bo Chengli thought of something, and a sharp light burst out in his eyes. What he was referring to was, of course, the ancestor of the Li family, Li Ruotong. In the past, Li Ruotong killed his clone with one finger, scaring him so much that he cowered on this small peach blossom mountain, never daring to set foot in the great realm of creation again. He always kept this hatred in his heart. During these long years, he worked crazily on the yin and yang siphoning skills, and continued to make breakthroughs based on the original ones, in order to be able to control this powerful female cultivator over time. If he really succeeds, then the domination of the northern cold immortal territory will be just around the corner. Just because Li Ruotong is recognized as the strongest person in the northern cold immortal realm, and the one most likely to be promoted to the realm of immortal emperor. Being able to control such a powerful person and use it for yourself is definitely a profitable business. It's just the last step before I can perform the most perfect yin-yang siphoning technique. By then, even if that bitch really breaks through to the immortal emperor, I'm sure she will be devoted to me. Hey. Speaking of this, Bo Chengli's eyes flashed strangely, a sinister smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he began to feel impatient in his heart. Soon, everything that Emperor Yi Tian did in the Qingtian territory spread throughout the northern Han immortal territory. As the most eye-catching figure in the northern cold immortal territory, once there is news about him, it must spread widely. Therefore, countless monks in many large areas also know the latest achievements of Emperor Yi Tian. According to my inference, Emperor Yi Tian is strong enough to rank among the top 5 in the northern cold immortal realm, and he even has a place in the top 3. In the Guangxia territory, a well-established and highly respected immortal lord stood up and said firmly. As soon as these words came out, it immediately aroused heated discussion from all sides. You know, among the top 5 immortal masters in the northern cold immortal realm, which one has not been famous for a long time and has deep prestige? Now, there is an immortal who insists that Emperor Yi Tian can be ranked in the top 5, or even the top 3. We do not rule out the possibility of being praised, but it is enough to show how influential he is. In the northern Han immortal territory, the first one is the ancestor of the Li family from the Great Creation territory, the second is the Qishao immortal from the Kangtian territory, and the third is Maitreya immortal from the Great Bliss territory. These 3 are all powerful men of all ages. I must be able to suppress someone like Shu Zhen immortal lord with one hand. Yes, although I think Emperor Yi Tian is very strong, if you want to squeeze in among these 3, I'm afraid it won't be that easy. Damn it, I'm a big fan of Emperor Yi Tian. In my mind, Emperor Yi Tian is the number 1. If you don't accept it, come and argue. Fellow Taoist, don't bring trouble to Emperor Yi Tian. That's right, it's probably a hater who wants to ruin Emperor Yi Tian's popularity. Regarding this, there was overwhelming discussion, and it became a topic that many monks discussed in their leisure time. There were even many powerful people who said they were so anxious that they became red-faced and fought over it, just to justify their own opinions. At the same time, Yi Junlin and others in the Eternal Immortal sect were completely unaware of the changes in external public opinion. That day, after finishing in the main hall, not long after, the longevity ancestor privately invited Yi Junlin to drink tea and discuss Taoism in the bamboo forest. How does Yi Junlin know anything? After all, his cultivation was acquired through hard work, and he wanted to find an excuse to get rid of it, but he couldn't refuse the kindness, so he had no choice but to come to the bamboo forest to keep the appointment. After drinking a few sips of tea and saying a few polite words, the longevity ancestor began to explain his understanding of Tao. Yi Junlin was so confused when he heard this that he almost fell asleep. When it was Yi Junlin's turn, he simply waved his hand and said, "I have the same opinion as you," and directly silenced the expectant ancestor. Not to mention how depressed the ancestor of Changsheng was. "I've said so much, and you're prevaricating me like this." For a moment, the longevity ancestor thought that Yi Junlin was deliberately hiding his clumsiness and was unwilling to reveal more about his deeper understanding of Taoism. Both sides were speechless for a while. The air was filled with embarrassment. Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully, and the reward is that the Kengyuan sword is upgraded to a lower-grade Immortal Emperor weapon. Closing square bracket. The system prompt sounded in his mind. Yi Junlin curled his lips and said contemptuously, "Tongzi, you really know how to pick the time." Ding, no matter when, the reward is never too late. Please rest assured, host. The system said shamelessly. Hee, it's all because of you that I stayed here for a few more days. Yi Junlin said unhappily. Then, after receiving the task reward, he stood up and said goodbye to the ancestor of longevity. Friend Yi, are you leaving? The ancestor of longevity was surprised. Yi Junlin said seriously, since the matter has been settled, there is no need for us to stay any longer. Goodbye. Wait, seeing that the young man was about to leave, the ancestor of longevity hurriedly stopped him. Anything else? Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. I have an unwelcome request, I hope that fellow Taoist Yi can fulfill it. Changsheng Patriarch said solemnly. Just tell me. Yi Junlin was also very curious about what it was. Who would have thought that Changsheng Patriarch's eyes kept changing, as if he was struggling in his heart, and then he squeezed out two words from between his teeth. Hit me. Yi Junlin, Chapter 505. C507 Master and Disciple go into battle together. After hearing the request from the immortal ancestor, Yi Junlin couldn't help but stand on end. He took 2 cautious steps back and looked at the middle-aged man with doubtful eyes. I didn't expect that, considering how human-like you look, you actually have such a weird hobby. The longevity ancestor seemed to realize something, pretending to cough to cover up his embarrassment, and quickly explained. Fellow Taoist Yi, don't get me wrong. What I mean is that I want to have a competition with you. I just want to know how big the gap is between you and me. Although he knew that Yi Junlin was very strong, he wanted to know the strength gap between the two. Therefore, this decision was made. Hear the words. Yi Junlin secretly breathed a sigh of relief and smiled playfully. This is what you said. If something happens then, don't blame it on me. Fellow Taoist Yi is joking. This is just a discussion that ends at the end, isn't it? The immortal ancestor's eyelids twitched, and he deliberately emphasized his tone with a sneer. Oh, let's get started. Yi Junlin subconsciously raised his hand. This move frightened the immortal ancestor into retreating hundreds of feet, his muscles tensed, and he stared at the silver-haired young man with all his attention. Yi Junlin was not used to it at all. He clenched his right hand into a fist and a huge golden halo appeared behind him. The nimbus has countless sacred patterns, and the golden nimbus is spinning rapidly, emitting a brilliant and everlasting light like the sun. The immortal ancestor's heart was shaken, and he felt that the power of this punch would be far greater than what he had received before. Be careful, I will use all my strength with this punch. Aha! The next second, Yi Junlin charged up his fist and blasted it out, and the golden fist light flew out. From a distance, it looked like the sun was enveloping him, which was a great visual impact. Rumble. A super-large barrier hidden in the bamboo forest rose instantly to isolate this terrifying impact as much as possible. Otherwise, the entire mountain will be leveled. The ancestor of immortality gritted his teeth, formed a seal with one hand, and used the strongest secret skill in his life to resist this move. Seal of immortality. Suddenly, a majestic voice came out of his mouth, as if it was about to shock the heavens. There was a square green ancient seal, surrounded by countless immortal lights, appearing above his head, exuding the ancient charm of the vicissitudes of life and the changes of the years. Boom! In an instant, the immortal seal met the golden fist light, and the two erupted into unparalleled terrifying fluctuations. Ding! It is detected that the host is attacked by an enemy from the 8th heaven of the immortal lord. Now it triggers the passive effect of getting stronger when encountering a strong one, and gains the cultivation of the 9th heaven of the immortal lord. Close black lens bracket. The system prompt sounds. Yi Junline's long snow-white hair was dancing wildly, a confident smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and a more powerful aura of cultivation burst out from his body. Friend Taoist immortality, you will be defeated after this move. He has cultivation-based suppression, immortal power quality suppression, and law quantity suppression. He can completely torture the immortal ancestor with just one move. What? Feeling this insurmountable gap in strength, the eyes of the immortal ancestor showed despair. The huge barrier was trembling violently, and then countless cracks appeared, cracking and shattering. As a surging energy wave spread crazily, the entire vast bamboo forest was turned into ashes. Including the towering mountain peaks under their feet, they were also collapsing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The sand and dust are billowing into the sky, and the rocks are surging. Soon, countless disciples and elders in the sect were frightened. What happened? Isn't that the direction the ancestor wanted to go? The incident happened suddenly, and there were screams of surprise. Master, what's wrong? Senior Yi and ancestor are fighting. Tang Yaoyao said in panic. On the mountain peak, Luo Qingwu stood up suddenly and looked up into the distance. After a while, she waved her hands and said angrily, "Don't be surprised, the two of them are just competing." So that's it, that's good. Tang Yaoyao patted her mature chest and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. At this time, Luo Qingwu's beautiful eyes flashed, and she said meaningfully, "Yaoyao, we master and apprentice should just open the skylight and speak openly. Don't always hide your words in your heart. If you hold it in for a long time, you will feel uncomfortable." Master, I don't understand what you mean. Tang Yaoyao seemed to have thought of something, her heart skipped a beat, and she lowered her head and spoke like a mosquito. Hee, damn girl, you have a tough mouth. Luo Qingwu rolled her eyes beautifully, folded her arms and said, "That morning, you were right outside the door, right?" Tang Yaoyao was shocked and didn't dare to say anything. You must be aware of the matter between Dao Yuyi and me. It was just a simple love affair with him, and there were not many emotional factors involved. And my teacher also knows that you have feelings for him. Luo Qingwu said seriously, "Since you know, then you still slept with him." Tang Yaoyao's eyes were red, like a little rabbit, and her tone was a little aggrieved. Ahem, being a teacher is also a temporary thing, but this kind of thing has always been between you and me. Besides, who do you think you are in the eyes of fellow Taoist Yi? Huh. Luo Qingwu went straight to the point and hit Tang Yaoyao's pain point. Hear the words. Tang Yaoyao dropped the little pearl, and the sadness in her heart flowed back into a river. Master, aren't your words too hurtful? But the question made sense, leaving her with no room for refutation. Seeing that the time was right, Luo Qingwu stretched out her hand to wipe the tears from her apprentice's face and comforted. Okay, don't look like a loser. Aren't you just a man? As for making you sad like this, my teacher has tried it for you. He does have some skills in this area. He will do it later. Before leaving the sect, how about I ask him to come over and play with me? It can be considered as granting one of your wishes. Luo Qingwu, whose brain circuit is different from ordinary people, said it as a matter of course. Ah, Tang Yaoyao almost suspected that her ears had misheard, her pretty face flushed red, and she stamped her feet in embarrassment and annoyance. Master, what are you talking about? How can you say such a thing? She didn't expect that her master would actually ask Senior Yi to share the reign and do with their master and apprentice before leaving. Moreover, it is still within the sect. This is too courageous. Luo Qingwu was surprised. Are you not happy? Or do you want to eat alone? Yaoyao, you have to think clearly. Fellow Taoist Yi is quite powerful. I have learned how powerful he is as a teacher. If you are left to deal with it alone, you will definitely not be able to withstand it with your small body. Tang Yaoyao blushed. Master, stop talking, I don't want this. Luo Qingwu raised her eyebrows. Yaoyao, you and Dao Yuyi are destined to have little intersection in the future. If you miss this village, you won't have this shop. You'd better think about it. Remember, don't have too much ideological baggage. You feel that this kind of behavior is very shameful. In the eyes of the teacher, it is the master and the disciple who slept with him. There is no distinction between high and low. Luo Qingwu is truly a strange woman, and her ideas are offbeat. After a brainwashing session, even Tang Yaoyao was shaken. Yes, Senior Yi is like a divine dragon above the 9 heavens, and I, Tang Yaoyao, are like a grasshopper on the ground. I cannot jump very high, so we are destined not to have too deep interactions in the future. Now, even if I can't win his heart, I can still be very different from him. Isn't that good? Maybe many years later, it will become a memory worth remembering. Have you figured it out? Luo Qingwu asked tentatively. Tang Yaoyao bit her teeth lightly, her eyes changing constantly, and finally nodded, well. Okay, the master will call him later. Luo Qingwu said excitedly. When she thought that the master and apprentice could join forces and regain the lost ground, she felt extremely hopeful in her heart. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode, thumbs feed 01, container, tabula below article thumbnail, 300 times 250 feet, placement, below article thumbnail minus 300 times 250 feet, target _type, mix. Chapter 506, C508. Suddenly, a strange secret realm. On the devastated mountain peaks, there were not many bamboos left, and a middle-aged man with an awkward posture was half kneeling on the ground, vomiting blood. His heart felt like a stormy sea. Okay, so strong. Recalling the collision just now, the immortal ancestor couldn't help but feel a lingering fear in his heart, and a chill ran down his back. If the other party really wants to kill him, it will be easy. Clearly feeling the huge gap, the immortal ancestor's offer Yi Junlin deepened a lot. Fellow Taoist Yi's strength is unfathomable, I admire you. The immortal ancestor breathed a sigh of relief and cupped his hands. Yi Junlin showed an appreciative smile, you're not bad either, at least you weren't beaten to death by me. Immortal ancestor, is this a compliment or a disservice? Why does it sound weird? In fact, what Yi Junlin said was the truth, and he did not mean to ridicule the ancestor of longevity at all. After all, it is really amazing that someone can save his life despite his all-out effort. For this reason, it is definitely the strongest existence among the immortal lords he has encountered so far, only second to him. In that case, let's meet again if we are destined. The immortal ancestor was also helpless. Farewell, Yi Junlin cupped his hands and said. However, at this moment, the immortal ancestor suddenly felt something moving in his arms, so he took out a communication ring and immersed himself in checking it. Suddenly, his expression changed, and he hurriedly called out to the silver-haired young man who was about to leave again, fellow Taoist Yi, wait. Damn, what's the matter with you? Yi Junlin paused and turned his head with an impatient look on his face. The ancestor of immortality said in a deep voice, fellow Taoist Yi, please be patient. An unexpected situation has just occurred. A secret realm appeared in the Kangtian domain next door. It is said that there are many smells of suspected immortal emperor weapons coming from inside. The powerful immortals are all rushing towards their destination. Hear the words. Yi Junlin was startled, is there such a thing? Although he now has the immortal emperor artifact and is not jealous of others, he was still instinctively surprised when he heard the news. You know, those are several immortal emperor weapons. Since when did such outrageous things appear one after another? Yes, that is the most powerful immortal emperor artifact. It is the exclusive object of the legendary immortal emperor level powerhouse. However, in our northern Han immortal region, even an immortal emperor has not been born. Now, several immortal emperor artifacts have been born. Could this be a turn of events? The immortal ancestor sighed with a flash of fire in his eyes. If he were allowed to take charge of the immortal emperor weapon, even if he exerted 1/10,000th of its power, he would be able to sweep away all the immortal lord level experts. But now, after learning the news, almost all the immortal masters who can be named in the northern Han immortal territory are rushing towards the Kangtian territory. The intensity of competition can be imagined. Therefore, the immortal ancestor wanted to join forces with Yi Junlin to go to the secret realm to share the immortal emperor artifact. What are the conditions for entering the secret realm? Yi Junlin asked. The immortal ancestor shook his head. I don't know at the moment, but the secret realm has not been officially opened yet, and even the immortal lord cannot forcefully enter. But what is certain is that the entrance to the secret realm only allows immortal masters to approach, which means that the lowest threshold for the realm is the immortal master. Hearing this, a strange color flashed in Yi Junlin's eyes. For some reason, he always felt that there was something fishy behind this secret realm. Fellow Taoist Yi, I know what you are worried about, but this is the greatest immortal fate I have ever seen in my life. Anyway, I have to go and have a look. What if I really get an immortal emperor artifact? The immortal ancestor's tone was filled with infinite longing, as if he no longer had the calm state of mind in the past. In fact, it is not surprising that the ancestor of Changsheng had such a reaction. After all, he had the opportunity to obtain the legendary Immortal Emperor weapon before he even reached the level of Immortal Emperor. From then on, his strength increased greatly and he became invincible in the world. No one else could remain calm. You know, not everyone in this world can easily obtain the Immortal Emperor artifact like Yi Junlin. Most monks, in order to obtain a powerful magic weapon, often beat themselves to death and risk their lives before giving up. Therefore, even if Yi Junlin does not take a trip into this muddy water, the immortal ancestor will take a risk for his own future. Ding! Congratulations to the host for activating the sign-in task, successfully entering the secret realm of Kangtian realm and signing in, and the reward Kang Yuan sword has been upgraded to the top-grade Immortal Emperor weapon. Close black lens bracket. Suddenly, the system prompt sounded in my mind. The ultimate Immortal Emperor weapon. Tongzi, you still understand me? Yi Junlin's expression changed, and he immediately gave up his worries. In that case, let's go together. I'm also very interested in this matter. Although he felt that there was something fishy behind this, he possessed a strong-to-strength system and could obtain the best Immortal Emperor artifact when he went there, so he didn't believe there was any danger that he couldn't solve with one sword. If one sword doesn't work, then use two swords. With full strength as the foundation, Yi Junlin wanted to go deep into the Dragon's Pond and Tiger's Den to see what this so-called secret realm was like. Very good. The longevity ancestor was in a very excited mood and was happy with Yi Junlin's decision. He has seen the opponent's terrifying strength, and he can't help but be full of confidence in this action to fight for the Immortal Emperor's weapon. Fellow Taoist Yi, let's set off immediately. The immortal ancestor said impatiently, fearing that the secret realm would be opened if he waited for just one more second. Good. Yi Junlin nodded. Then, the two flew out of the mountain together, attracting everyone's attention. Ancestor, the battle just now was, sect leader Wei Qingsheng asked cautiously. It's me and fellow Taoist Yi who are discussing, you don't need to worry. Explained the ancestor of longevity. Hearing this, all the disciples and elders breathed a sigh of relief, and at the same time they knew the outcome of this competition. After all, the immortal ancestor looked a little embarrassed, and his breath was very unstable. On the other hand, Yi Junlin looked calm and unscathed. Which one is strong and which one is weak is clear at a glance. Next, fellow Taoist Yi and I will go to the Kangtian territory together. You must unite as one and don't allow any extraneous matters. The ancestor of immortality said seriously. As you command. Everyone was shocked and quickly raised their hands in a gesture. Witness this scene, Luo Qingwu and Tang Yaoyao looked at each other. What to do now, ancestor, what are you so anxious about? Luo Qingwu said secretly with doubts. Since she was a newly promoted immortal lord and had not yet formally entered the top social circles, she was unaware of the secret realm of the Kangtian realm. Because this kind of thing is currently only circulated in the circle of immortals, and none of the monks below know about it. This is the importance of circles. Looking at this woman in a white dress, the immortal ancestor had no intention of telling the truth. He knew very well that with Luo Qingwu's character, in that situation, he would inevitably attract hatred and increase disputes. In addition, if something went wrong in the secret realm, he would really not be able to come back. Luo Qingwu could still take over the eternal immortal sect in his place, leading the sect to flourish. I have to say that the immortal ancestor was very thoughtful. Xiao Luo, I want to take fellow Taoist Yi to visit an old friend I haven't seen for many years. During this period, you must stay in charge of the sect and are not allowed to leave without permission. The longevity ancestor said seriously. So urgent. Okay then. Luo Qingwu's tone was a little disappointed. She did not doubt what the immortal ancestor said because she did not think it was necessary for the immortal ancestor to lie to her. It's a pity that I couldn't compete with Yi Junlin in time. Huh, what does this female gangster want to do? At this time, Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows, always feeling that Luo Qingwu looked at him strangely, as if she was trying to pull him to do some ulterior extreme sports. Fellow Taoist Yi, let's go. Later, the ancestor of Changsheng left the eternal immortal sect with Yi Junlin and headed for the Kangtian territory. Hey, what a coincidence, it happened at this time. Luo Qingwu stamped her feet angrily. Tang Yaoyao blushed with embarrassment, pulled Luo Qingwu's sleeve, and whispered, forget it, we don't need to be in such a hurry. That's right, he will come back anyway. When the time comes, our master and apprentice will join forces to make him feel what it means to be exhausted. Luo Qingwu was gearing up, with a smirk on her face. I'm going back to the cave first. Hearing this, Tang Yaoyao's pretty face turned red, turned around and left quickly. Other side, Kanglang Jun and Big Mushroom King stood under the eaves, watching the two figures turn into light and disappear into the horizon. Friend Xiaohei, it seems we won't be able to leave for a while. Yeah, let's wait until Master comes back. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode, thumbs feed 01, container, tabula below article thumbnail, 300 times 250 feet, placement, below article thumbnail minus 300 times 250 feet, target _type, mix. Chapter 507, C509 Strong Men Gather. The vast domain of heaven. In a certain vast desert, a long and narrow space crack loomed, revealing a vast and powerful aura. Rumble, the sound of sonic booms is endless. Many powerful figures gathered here, some were riding light, some were riding immortal birds, and some were wielding swords. All in all, they came in a variety of ways, which was dazzling. If any ordinary monk passed by this place, he would be trembling with fear and his face would be full of shock. Because everyone who appears here is a famous immortal level powerhouse in the Northern Han immortal realm. You must know that these immortal dragons, who have never seen their beginning or end, are godlike existences in the vast areas where they live. They are worshipped by hundreds of millions of living beings on weekdays. Their every move attracts attention and is extremely dazzling. However, now they all seem to have been summoned by something, and they are all gathering in this remote desert. It didn't take long for three figures of powerful immortals to gather here. They all rushed in from many large areas and wanted to take the lead in advance. Wuwang Immortal, you are well and well. I heard that you have been in seclusion for 100,000 years, and today I think you have made great progress in your cultivation. No, I'm lucky, I didn't miss this opportunity to enter the secret realm. Isn't this the Lotus Immortal Lord? You are here to join in the fun. Haha, there is such a great thing, why don't you come and take a look? Who in this world can resist the temptation of the Immortal Emperor artifact? Fellow Taoist, how about we form an alliance? There will be someone to take care of you even when you enter the secret realm. Easy to say, easy to say. There was a lot of discussion and the scene was very lively. There are more and more immortal masters on the scene. Some are meditating and practicing, some are keen to win over others, some are taciturn, some are dismissive, and some are calmly observing the situation. No matter what they are doing, this trip has one purpose, and that is to obtain the Immortal Emperor artifact in the secret realm. Amitabha. Suddenly, a majestic Buddha's name echoed in the sky, making the strong men present feel like their souls had been cleansed. Aha! An extremely holy golden Buddha light shot from the sky, and when it fell on the ground, a bald old man wearing cassock gradually appeared. I saw him with his hands clasped together, looking very old, with a compassionate expression on his face as if he wanted to save all sentient beings, and a sacred colorful halo hanging behind his head, exuding a peaceful atmosphere of great freedom. Behind him, several eminent monks followed closely. Their eyes were gleaming and their own cultivation was in the realm of immortals. However, they were all willing to succumb behind them, led by this old monk. Look, that's Immortal Maitreya from the great realm of ultimate bliss. A man exclaimed. For a moment, everyone looked in awe. The great realm of ultimate bliss is a land full of meditation. Its overall strength and foundation are very strong. It can be said to be among the top 3 in the Northern Han immortal realm. The leader of the Paradise realm is Immortal Maitreya. At this moment, Maitreya Immortal Lord led several of the strongest monks to this place, and the aura released invisibly overwhelmed the entire audience. My lord, that is the secret realm where the Immortal Emperor's weapon is hidden. A senior monk behind him said, looking at the space crack with hot eyes. Amitabha, so good, so good. The old voice was calm. Maitreya Immortal Lord sighed. The poor monk can clearly feel that this secret realm is destined to be my Buddha. As soon as these words came out, everyone was secretly despising him. Because they know that this is the usual bandit rhetoric used by Buddhists. However, due to the great strength of Immortal Maitreya, they did not dare to expose this theory in person. After all, they are both immortal level experts, but the gap between them is as vast as a chasm. At this moment, a loud and majestic voice sounded like thunder from the sky, shaking the entire boundless desert. Old bald donkey, if you want to occupy the secret realm, I will be the first to refuse. Whoa, the red light all over the sky illuminates the sky. On the endless sky, a middle-aged figure wearing a flat crown and a red python robe stands with his hands behind his back, showing the posture of an absolute king. 2 frightening rays of light are cast in his eyes. It's Qishao Immortal Lord, Many strong men exclaimed. Qishao Immortal Lord is a representative powerhouse in the Kangtian domain, and is also recognized as the second most powerful person in the Northern Han Immortal domain. How dare you be rude to His Majesty? A Buddhist monk said coldly, bracing himself. HMPH, do you have the right to speak here? Qishao Immortal Lord glared at him, with mysterious runes intertwining in his eyes. Puff. With just one look, the eminent monk vomited blood and turned pale, as if he had been attacked by some terrible attack. Several other monks were shocked, looking at Qishao Immortal with fearful eyes. The strong men present were so scared that their scalps were numb, and they were even more in awe of Qishao Immortal Lord. After all, that bald donkey was a being from the 6th level of the Immortal Lord, but he was seriously injured by a look. He is indeed the second most powerful person in the Northern Han Immortal realm. Qishao, you passed. Maitreya Immortal Lord's old face was as calm as ever, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Old bald donkey, take care of your people. I won't do anything lightly or harshly. Qishao Immortal Lord sneered. Amitabha, this poor monk will discipline him, but you are not allowed to act recklessly. Maitreya Immortal Lord said slowly and calmly, besides, the poor monk has no intention of occupying the secret realm. It's just that you are prejudiced against my Buddhism. Haha, it's up to you to say whatever you want. I won't argue with you Buddhists because it doesn't make any sense. The Qishao Immortal Venerable was tall and majestic, and his eyes swept across the audience. Everyone, when the secret realm is opened, everyone will rely on their own abilities. Of course, any fights that occur during this period are all their own faults. Do you have any objections? No objection. Hearing this, everyone was convinced. It turns out that the Qishao Immortal Venerable is much bigger than the Maitreya Immortal Venerable. Seeing this, a hint of dissatisfaction flashed in Maitreya Immortal Venerable's eyes, and then it was quickly replaced by calmness. He was a little afraid of the Qishao Immortal Venerable, but it did not mean that he would be afraid of the other party. After all, so many years have passed, and it is still uncertain who is stronger and who is weaker. It's just that now that the secret realm is about to open, he can't tear his face and fight with it now, so he simply endures it and makes plans. Strange, the third and second are here, why hasn't the first-rank Li family ancestor appeared yet? Someone reacted and said with a puzzled look. Yes, why didn't I see the immortal Master Haoyu? Could it be that she is not interested in this immortal opportunity? Someone else asked in surprise. Li Ruotong, the ancestor of the Li family, whose Taoist name is the immortal Master Haoyu, is the real strongest person in the Beihan immortal domain. Her existence makes countless geniuses pale in comparison, and the stars in the sky surround her, just like the stars surrounding the moon. Logically speaking, she shouldn't be absent from such an important occasion. Why hasn't she shown up yet? Chapter 508, C510. Are you worthy of being called the Emperor of Heaven? Everyone was puzzled by this. You know, this time the immortal fate involves several immortal emperor artifacts, which is the first time in the history of Beihan immortal domain. With such a huge temptation, who can remain indifferent? However, the ancestor of the Li family did not show up, which seemed very strange to them. Could it be that Mr. Li is preparing to impact the realm of the immortal emperor? Maitreya Immortal Venerable's eyes were filled with doubts, and a sense of urgency filled his heart. Because compared to winning the immortal emperor artifact, the current priority is to become a real immortal emperor. No, breaking through the immortal emperor is not that simple. The legendary Emperor Calamity alone is a life and death struggle. If I can get the immortal emperor artifact, even if I don't become an immortal emperor, I will have the means to compete with the immortal emperor later. Qishao Immortal Venerable's eyes kept changing, comforting himself in his heart. For so many years, that woman who was as cold as the moon goddess was like an insurmountable mountain pressing on his heart. If the other party had not existed, he would have been the number one in Beihan immortal domain, but things did not go as he wished, and reality was so cruel. Therefore, Qishao Immortal Venerable was so eager to find a shortcut to overtake. Now that the opportunity was in front of him, he would never give up. Fellow Taoist Yi, this is it, we are finally here. Suddenly, two streams of light came from the horizon and landed on the desert. I said you are a road idiot, your sense of direction is so bad, it made me accompany you to run for nothing several times. Yi Junlin said depressedly. Originally, it could have been reached quickly, but the Changsheng Patriarch ran to the wrong place several times. Fortunately, he corrected it in time later, and then he arrived at the destination. At this time, looking around, he found that all the people who came were immortal venerable level strongmen. And their appearance also attracted the attention of many interested people. Fellow Taoist Changsheng, long time no see. A tall man who seemed to know the Changsheng patriarch politely clasped his fists. Dao Yu Juling, how are you? The Changsheng patriarch bowed and introduced Yi Junlin. This is the Juling immortal venerable from the savage realm. He entered the Dao with force and achieved the position of immortal venerable. Hello, Yi Junlin said politely. This Dao Yu is, the Juling immortal venerable looked at Yi Junlin carefully and was secretly shocked. He always felt that he was very similar to the one in the rumors, but he was not sure. He is Yi Tiandi, the Changsheng patriarch said seriously. Yi Tiandi. After saying this, the Juling immortal venerable widened his eyes and pointed at Yi Junlin in disbelief. Are you Yi Tiandi? Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. Is it fake? This reaction, like a mortal seeing a ghost, made him feel very outrageous. What? Yi Tiandi is here too? Sure enough, he looks exactly like the rumored one. He's a big guy who can beat an immortal with one punch. I'm afraid he'll kill me with one punch. It's said that Yi Tiandi is one of the top 3 in Beihan immortal domain. I don't know if it's true or not. Hee, there's going to be a good show now. The scene was quiet, but the sound transmission was very strong. Many strong men were communicating secretly, and they were talking about Yi Junlin behind their backs. HMPH, Yi Tiandi is really arrogant. Kai Xiao Shanzun's eyes flashed coldly, and his tone was dissatisfied. Why call yourself Tiandi? Why call yourself Tiandi? Can Tiandi be used casually? Not to mention the realm of Shanzun, even the immortal emperor-level figures dare not call themselves Tiandi. At most, they call themselves emperors. So, Kai Xiao Shanzun was very unhappy with Yi Junlin, very unhappy, because he was so arrogant, but he didn't dare to call himself Tiandi, and he felt that he was not worthy. Donor Yi, I have heard of your great name for a long time. A gleam of brilliance flashed in Maitreya Immortal Venerable's eyes, and his heart suddenly became active. Qishao Immortal Venerable did not cooperate with him, and he could do nothing about it. However, the arrival of Yi Junlin gave him a new opportunity. Old bald donkey, don't try to get close to me. Unexpectedly, Yi Junlin said bluntly. Judging by his intuition, he thought that Maitreya Immortal Venerable was not a good thing, so he drew a clear line at the first time. Maitreya Immortal Venerable seemed to be choked, and his old face turned blue with anger. Don't you want face? This kid is more hateful than Qishao Immortal Venerable. Ha ha ha, your wishful thinking has failed. Qishao Immortal Venerable sneered. Maitreya Immortal Venerable's face was gloomy. I don't understand what you are talking about. I only know that this Donor Yi is a threat to both of us. In a moment, he shifted the conflict and pointed the spearhead at Yi Junlin. HMPH, I just want to test him to see if he is as invincible as the rumors say. The long hair of Qishao Immortal Venerable fluttered, and he walked over with great momentum. The vast sense of oppression made everyone along the way tremble with fear and retreat. Fellow Taoist Yi, be careful, that is Qishao Immortal Venerable, he is the second strongest in Beihan Immortal Domain. The eyes of Changsheng Patriarch were solemn, and he reminded. He had to admit that Qishao Immortal Venerable's aura was stronger than his. You should know that his cultivation was at the 8th level of the Immortal Venerable, and the number of laws reached 29 million. Even so, he was not as good as the other party, which showed how terrible Qishao Immortal Venerable was. The Changsheng Patriarch even suspected that Qishao Immortal Venerable had almost reached 30 million laws. This was an extremely dangerous signal. Oh, Yi Junlin said with interest. So, he is more powerful than you. That's natural, Changsheng Patriarch said embarrassedly. Mr. Yi, what right do you have to call yourself the Emperor of Heaven? Are you worthy? The immortal Kai Xiao asked directly as soon as he came up. In an instant, everyone felt the temperature rise a lot, and the air was filled with a strong smell of gunpowder. Huh, Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. It seemed that this guy with a face full of dissatisfaction was deliberately looking for trouble with him. But it doesn't matter, he has always been a specialist in all kinds of dissatisfaction. I am not worthy, so are you. Who are you to yell in front of me? Yi Junlin took a step forward and sneered. Hiss. In an instant, bursts of cold air were heard. Everyone was frightened by this, and their eyes were full of astonishment. After all, compared with the rising star Yi Junlin, the immortal Kai Xiao, who has accumulated power for a long time, would appear to have a higher status. However, Yi Junlin's words trampled on the face of the immortal Kai Xiao. Everyone was shocked. What did you say? The Qishao Immortal Venerable was stunned at first, with veins bulging on his forehead, and his whole body released a terrifying and vast aura, like a red sandstorm rising in the desert and going straight into the sky above his head. Boom! The originally clear sky suddenly became dim, and then turned into a sky-wide red, as if it was rendered by blood, like a terrible doomsday, with a myriad of weather. Behind the Qishao immortal venerable, a huge and majestic Dharma image emerged, holding a magic sword, with vertical lines on his forehead, exuding a monstrous sense of oppression, and glaring at Yi Junline. The breath of this Dharma image is so strong, the Changsheng patriarch was shocked, and the gap in strength became clearer. Yi Junline was not panicked, and a playful arc appeared at the corner of his mouth. Dharma image. I have it too. As he said, he pinched the seal with one hand. The next second, a sudden change occurred. Window. Underscore tabula equals window. Underscore tabula underscore tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article feed. Placement. Below article feed. Target underscore type. Mix. Chapter 509. C511 each shows his magical power. Aha! A vast shadow rose into the sky from behind. It was a man wearing an ancient imperial crown. His long hair spread like the Milky Way behind him, and he wore a black imperial robe that contained the stars in the sky. His handsome face was neither sad nor happy, and his eyes were like golden planets, emitting light like the sun, overlooking all living things. Surrounded by countless terrifying celestial phenomena, tsunamis, scorching sun, storms, thunder and lightning, he seemed to be an unparalleled true god in heaven and earth. Rumble. An extremely heavy sense of oppression covered the space between heaven and earth, and the air suddenly condensed like frost. What? The expressions of all the powerful immortal masters present changed greatly. They felt suffocated and could hardly breathe. Looking at the shadow of the emperor's robe that was as towering as a mountain, their eyes showed fear. What kind of dharma is this? Qishao Immortal's pupils shrank, his face full of disbelief. You must know that what he displayed was the strongest dharma aspect he had learned in his life, which was called the immortal killing dharma aspect. Immortal killing dharma, as the name suggests, can help the body to kill all immortals. Its power is so terrifying that it ranks at the very top of the known records of dharma in the immortal world. Therefore, Qishao Immortal Lord is full of confidence and has strong confidence in his own dharma. However, the magical appearance displayed by Yi Junline made Qishao Immortal feel like a country bumpkin who had seen the big world. Directly subvert cognition, shatter past concepts. Because compared with this method of unknown origin, the immortal killing method he was proud of instantly eclipsed it. Hee. Yi Junline clasped his hands behind his back, with long silver white hair flying in the air. Behind him, a majestic figure in imperial robes also stood with his hands clasped behind his back, as if he was in the vast river of time, traveling through time and space to the current world. Just standing there, it feels like heaven and earth are dominating it. That's right, this is the Emperor of Heaven's Dharma that Yi Junline obtained through the system a long time ago. Today, he is no longer what he used to be, so the appearance of the Emperor of Heaven that he displays has become more complete and powerful. Buzz buzz. At this moment, in front of everyone's eyes, two huge Dharma phenomena were facing each other from a distance, and their auras collided with each other, causing the space to become crazily distorted. Hateful. Qishao Immortal Lord gritted his teeth, instinctively feeling a sense of danger in his heart, and the hair on his body stood up. I don't believe it, you are really capable. As he spoke, he made a secret with one hand, and the immortal killing technique behind him moved. It had an angry face, holding the sword in hand, and stabbed straight away with all its strength, shooting out a red sword rainbow like a burning cloud. This blow is unparalleled in power. The immortal ancestor's scalp was numb, and he wondered if he could withstand this attack by using his strongest move, the immortal seal. Ji Tianji. Yi Junline raised a finger lightly, and then pointed it calmly in the air, and the Emperor of Heaven behind him also made the same move. In an instant, a golden finger light seemed to transcend time and space, containing an eternal aura, and bombarded the red sword rainbow. Boom! The astonishing air wave spread like a tide, stirring up countless wild sands all around. In the countless shocking gazes, the red sword rainbow was shattered inch by inch, but the residual power of the sky-cutting finger was still there, making the Scarlet Sky Immortal Lord feel like he had been struck by lightning, and blood spilled from the corners of his mouth. Qishao Immortal Lord was shocked and angry, as if a stormy sea was rising in his heart. It was obviously Yi Junline's strength that surprised him. I thought you were so powerful, but it turns out you are nothing more than that. Yi Junline mocked. What did you say? Hearing this, Qishao Immortal Lord seemed to be deeply humiliated and immediately decided not to hold anything back. He must show off to the other party. Open the immortal killing eyes. The vertical lines on the immortal slayer's forehead cracked, and a strange blood-red eye stared closely at Yi Junline. And the eyes of Qishao Immortal Lord burst out with billions of breathtaking light, and each of the pupils seemed to have a large formation that destroyed the common people, rotating, and countless red runes emerged, constantly intertwined and intertwined. The Eye of Immortal Killing is one of his major killing moves. With the blessing of the Immortal Killing Dharma, the power can even be superimposed tens of thousands of times. It can be said that the two are incomparably compatible and are the strongest trump card of Qishao Immortal Lord in the northern cold immortal territory. Emperor Yi Tian is in danger. Seeing this scene, everyone was so frightened that their hearts were trembling, and even their minds were almost affected by this overwhelming murderous aura. At this moment, they clearly realized the horror of being the second strong man in the northern cold immortal domain. It's really an immortal, and I'm so angry. We are both immortals, but the difference is as big as clouds and mud. My surname is Yi, it's still too late for you to bow your head and admit your mistake. I can let go of the past. Qishao Immortal Master regained his confidence and said in an arrogant tone. Haha, why don't you kneel down first and kowtow to me a few times? Yi Junlin sneered. Stubborn, Qishao Immortal Lord was stimulated by these words, and attacked in anger. Under the activation of the Eye of Immortal Killing, a ray of death that seemed to destroy all sentient beings pierced the sky and disappeared in an instant. You're welcome, I was just about to try this trick on you. Yi Junlin raised his hand, and the Heavenly Emperor's Faxiong behind him also moved accordingly. That big hand seemed to travel through time and space, with a certain aura of great freedom and perfection, and he patted it directly. Palm of Good Fortune, this is the second great magical power that comes with the Heavenly Emperor's Faxiong, except for the heaven-cutting finger. Rumble, an earth-shaking vibration sounded, and a majestic energy flow spread across thousands of miles. The whole desert is shaking. Ah, what kind of palm technique is this? Kai Shaoshan's eyes stung so much that he actually shed 2 lines of bloody tears. The image of the immortal killing Dharma behind him has also become much more insubstantial, and it seems that it will be destroyed soon. It's quite manageable, Yi Junlin sneered and slowly pushed forward with his glowing palm. Amitabha, why is Donor Yi so aggressive? Suddenly, a long sigh sounded. Immediately afterwards, golden Buddha light appeared all over the sky, and a huge phantom of Buddha sat cross-legged on a lotus flower, looking down at all living beings. At this time, Immortal Maitreya has his hands clasped together, carrying Buddhist Dharma on his back, and golden lotuses sprouting from the ground. The scene is very sacred. In an instant, Qishao Immortal felt that the pressure was much lessened, and even his physical injuries showed signs of improvement. He knew that Immortal Maitreya was trying to help him. Qishao Immortal Lord was not surprised by this approach, because Maitreya Immortal Lord and him were currently on the same front. After all, Yi Junlin was too strong, giving the other party a sense of crisis. Old bald donkey, you dare to interfere, so be prepared to pay the price. Yi Junlin sneered. That's good, that's good. Donor Yi's words are wrong. The poor monk just doesn't want this fight to continue. If Donor Yi insists on having his own way, you will be responsible for the consequences. Immortal Maitreya's face was as calm as ever, but his tone was threatening. To be honest, he was shocked that Yi Junlin showed amazing combat power and was able to push his old rival Kai Shao Shanzun to this point. Due to his own position, he felt that it was necessary to join forces with Qishao Immortal to fight against this monster with mysterious origins. Chapter 510, C512 Is it a blessing or a curse? Immortal Maitreya was afraid that if Immortal Qishao was defeated, his situation would not be much better. Then you try. Yi Junlin did not take this threat seriously. Donor Yi, you forced me to do this. There was a hint of anger in the eyes of Immortal Maitreya, and he immediately used his strongest Buddhist palm technique. Suddenly, a vast golden palm appeared in the depths of the sky with bursts of Sanskrit sounds. The holy Buddha's light spread for thousands of miles, and countless creatures showed piety wherever they went, knelt on the ground with their hands clasped together, and chanted the Buddha's name unconsciously. No desire, no request, no delusion, no anger, no abandonment, no action, no self. Suppress. Immortal Maitreya showed majesty and uttered thunderous sounds. As soon as the words fell, the golden hand enveloped and pressed towards Yi Junlin and his heavenly Emperor Dharma image. Fellow Taoist Yi, I'll help you. The Changsheng Patriarch subconsciously offered the Changsheng seal, wanting to relieve the pressure on Yi Junlin. Swish, the Changsheng seal burst into a brilliant blue light, like the blue sky hanging high for eternity, revealing an eternal and immortal aura. Result: as soon as the Changsheng seal touched the golden hand, it melted quickly like ice and snow encountering the scorching sun, and turned into nothingness in the blink of an eye. What? The corners of Changsheng Patriarch's mouth were bleeding, and his heart was shocked. He couldn't believe that his strongest move was so vulnerable under the hands of Maitreya Immortal Venerable. Is this the gold content of the third strongest person in Beihan Immortal Domain? Maitreya Immortal Venerable narrowed his eyes and looked deeply at the Changsheng Patriarch. He clearly felt that the move just now even made him feel dangerous, but he just forcibly broke it. However, behind the seemingly relaxed appearance, it was the result of his all-out efforts. Don't worry, Taoist Changsheng, I can handle it. Yi Junlin used the creation palm again, with both palms out, full of momentum. Boom! For a moment, the surging air waves spread in all directions, and the entire desert was undulating like waves. Maitreya Immortal Venerable's expression changed, his brows were furrowed, and there was a bit of pain between his brows. The golden hand with Buddha's light was trembling, spreading at a speed visible to the naked eye. At this moment, Yi Junlin was fighting 1 against 2, not only did he not lose the upper hand, but he also seemed to be at ease. This scene made everyone dumbfounded. They couldn't believe that this silver-haired young man who suddenly appeared was so invincible in combat power. Fuck, am I seeing right? Yi Tiandi actually defeated 2 top masters, Kai Shao Shanzun and Maitreya Shanzun, by himself. This is going against the will of heaven. Who said that Yi Tiandi couldn't be in the top 3? Open your eyes and take a good look. With such a terrifying strength, he is fully qualified to be the strongest in Beihan Shanyu. The masters at the scene were shocked and discussed excitedly. After all, the topic of whether Yi Tiandi could be in the top 3 was still quite controversial in the outside world. But what happened now directly shattered all doubts. Even the 2 super masters ranked 2nd and 3rd were beaten by Yi Tiandi when they joined forces. It's clear who is stronger and who is weaker. Where did this monster come from? Why have I never heard of it in the past years? Kai Shao Shanzun felt under great pressure, cold sweat on his forehead, and gritted his teeth. As the second in command of Beihan Immortal Realm for thousands of years, he originally thought that his only enemy in this life was the Li family ancestor standing in front of him. Unexpectedly, another monster that he was far inferior to appeared. This made Qi Shao Immortal Venerable feel very aggrieved and depressed. It was very uncomfortable. After personally experiencing Yi Junlin's strength, Maitreya Immortal Venerable's scalp was numb at this moment. It would be a lie to say that he was not scared. His strength was only slightly inferior to Qi Shao Immortal Venerable, but now the 2 of them combined their strength and could not beat the other. This really made him feel ashamed and difficult to accept this fact. Great Venerable, we are here to help you. Seeing the critical situation, a group of Buddhist monks took action and joined the contest. Your Majesty, let's do our part. Many immortal beings in the Kangtian domain also decided to help Qi Shao Immortal. With the intervention of 2 groups of people, Qi Shao Immortal and Maitreya Immortal suddenly became more powerful and continued to fight Yi Junlin. In the blink of an eye, under the interweaving of multiple terrifying forces, the sun and the moon above their heads alternated wildly, with lightning, thunder, storms and rainstorms. The scene was out of control for a time. It's really hard for you to fight to this extent, Yi Junlin said. To be honest, he did feel a lot of pressure, but it was all within his acceptable range. Now, he is going to start to be serious. That's right. This is only the limit of Qi Shao Immortal and others, but it is far from the limit reached by Yi Junlin. However, at this time, the secret realm suddenly moved. Boom boom boom. Billions of rays of light shot up into the sky, piercing through the thick clouds, shaking out endless energy fluctuations. Someone exclaimed, "The secret realm is open. Now, charge!" The cultivators who originally wanted to watch the battle immediately rushed forward excitedly, scrambling to enter the secret realm. Soon, the people who were stranded outside, apart from Yi Junlin and Changsheng Patriarch, were Qi Shao Immortal Venerable and Maitreya Immortal Venerable. Your Majesty Yi Tiandi, I just did this unintentionally, please forgive me. Surprisingly, Qi Shao Immortal Lord actually chose to surrender and spoke with the intention of seeking peace. Hey, you change your face really quickly, Yi Junlin joked. Naturally, he could see that the other party had a wishful thinking in mind. He just wanted to enter the secret realm to compete for the Immortal Emperor artifact. Qi Shao Immortal looked embarrassed. The reason why I spoke rudely to you before was because I have never seen your strength. Now that I am completely convinced, why don't we put aside our prejudices and enter the secret realm to find out what's going on? If he missed the secret realm because of this, he would have wanted to blow himself up on the spot. Amitabha, it was all a misunderstanding. The poor monk also feels that there is no need to continue fighting. Maitreya Immortal Lord also wants to enter the secret realm and is not willing to waste any more time here. Fellow Taoist Yi, the entrance to the secret realm is about to close. Seeing the entrance to the secret realm changing, the immortal ancestor reminded anxiously. Yi Junlin frowned. He came here mainly for the sign and reward. If he missed this opportunity, what if he killed these people? And if you enter the secret realm, there are many opportunities. Why rush? Okay, Yi Junlin agreed temporarily. Immediately, the two sides officially called a truce. Emperor Yi Tian, you have made the wisest choice. Qi Shao Immortal Lord secretly breathed a sigh of relief, with a relieved smile on his face. Remember, you are my defeated general. Yi Junlin emphasized every word. Hearing these heart-wrenching words, Qi Shao Immortal's smile froze on his face, and then he turned around and left with a dark face. After all, he really can't be beaten. And you, old bald donkey, you are better than him. Yi Junlin said. Well, Immortal Maitreya's mouth twitched a few times, and he forced out an ugly smile. Almsgiver Yi has extraordinary magical powers, and the poor monk admires him. After saying that, he hurriedly led people to the secret realm. It feels much more comfortable now. Yi Junlin sighed. Fellow Taoist Yi, let's leave quickly. The longevity ancestor said with a bitter smile. The next second, the two entered the secret realm. At the same time, the entrance to the secret realm was also closed, but at the moment of closing, there was a vague and weird laughter. It seems like the conspiracy succeeded. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode, thumbs feed 01, container, tabula below article thumbnail, 300 times 250 feet, placement, below article thumbnail minus 300 times 250 feet, target _type, mix. Chapter 511. C513 Qualification Platform. Inside the secret realm. Everyone was in a magnificent immortal palace, with white clouds surging around like waves, and the sun, moon and stars hanging on the top of the immortal palace. The scene was as unreal as a dream. Where is this? Where are the immortal emperor artifacts? Yeah, why don't we see any? Wait, I can't seem to mobilize the immortal power in my body. Do you have this situation? Hiss, me too, it's over, what should I do without immortal power? The crowd suddenly made a commotion, and panic spread. After all, they came here from afar for several immortal emperor artifacts in the secret realm. However, after entering this ghost place, not only did they not see the immortal emperor artifacts they wanted, but they also lost control of the immortal power in their bodies, like a stone sinking into the sea, without a trace of immortal power for them to mobilize. There is something strange here, even this seat can't mobilize my own immortal power. Kai Shaoshanzun was secretly shocked. After all, he was at the 9th level of the Immortal Venerable, and was only one step away from the realm of the Immortal Emperor. However, when he came here, his immortal power was actually sealed, which made him extremely terrified. Amitabha, since we are here, we should make peace with it. Maitreya Immortal Venerable clasped his hands together and chanted the Buddha's name leisurely. He seemed to be calm, but his heart was actually very tense. Anyone would panic if they lost control of their immortal power. After all, no matter what level of immortals, they must be related to immortal power, which is the basis for all means. As a result, now that they have no basis, it is like a tiger with its sharp teeth pulled out, and its own strength has been greatly weakened. What a hell of a place this is. Yi Junlin frowned. In his mind, the system prompt sounded, ding, congratulations to the host for completing the sign-in, and the reward of Kengyuan's sword has been upgraded to the top-grade Immortal Emperor weapon. Closing square bracket. Yi Junlin was speechless. This time the reward was issued quite timely, but to be honest, it was useless. After all, if you can't mobilize the immortal power, what's the use of having a top-grade Immortal Emperor weapon? It can't even exert 1/1000th of its power. Suddenly, a majestic voice like a huge bell echoed in the immortal palace, as if it sounded in everyone's heart. Welcome all trialists to the Soul Heaven Secret Realm. The rules are as follows. The trial is divided into 3 levels in total. The ranking is determined by the results. The highest ranking in each level can get 200 openings. After passing the level, there are a total of 1000 secret treasure chests. The 5 Immortal Emperor weapons are hidden in them. You need to open them to get them. Hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up and their breathing became rapid. In other words, the 3 levels are ranked by their own ability, and then the corresponding number of treasure chest openings is obtained. After the 3 levels are passed, it is time to open the thrilling treasure chest opening stage. Whether you can open the Immortal Emperor weapon depends on yourself. Of course, the more times you get to open the treasure chest, the greater the chance of opening the Immortal Emperor weapon. 5 Immortal Emperor Artifacts, those are 5 Immortal Emperor Artifacts. Some people have already started dancing with excitement, as if imagining the wonderful scene of owning 5 Immortal Emperor Artifacts. Immortal Emperor Artifacts, this seat must get them. Among them, Kai Shao Shanzun glanced at Yi Junlin without leaving a trace, and said secretly in his heart. As long as he has the Immortal Emperor Artifact, he can get back his place and wipe out the previous shame. Just when everyone was full of confidence, a sudden change occurred. Rumble. 1,000 steps rose in front, each step was like a immortal gold, magnificent, luxurious and atmospheric, and the whole exuded an incomparable mysterious atmosphere. This is, when everyone was confused, the majestic voice of the immortal palace sounded again. This is the qualification platform. The stronger the qualification, the higher the step. The number of unpackings will be obtained according to the ranking. The highest one will get 200 unpackings, and so on. Hearing this, everyone's eyes changed. Unexpectedly, the first level is to compare qualifications. Every living being has its own qualifications, but there are differences in strength. On the road of cultivation, qualifications are very important. A cultivator with poor qualifications will either live a mediocre life, or be trampled underfoot, beaten and killed. And the genius with strong qualifications, as if protected by the heaven, improves his cultivation like eating and drinking, and is destined to stand at the top of the pyramid. We can achieve the realm of immortals, and our qualifications are definitely not low. The eyes of the Changsheng patriarch flickered. He also wanted to see how far he could go on the qualification platform. Swish, swish, swish. At this time, many strong men have rushed to the stairs and walked up step by step. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. The first 300 steps were easily crossed, which doubled everyone's confidence and continued to step up. Until the 400th step, some people began to fall behind. They felt the pressure of each step, and their steps became extremely heavy. In the end, they could no longer move forward, and stopped with unwillingness. After reaching the 500th step, more and more strong men stopped, and the number showed a blowout trend. 590th step, 591st step, 592nd step. The dueling immortal venerable who met the Changsheng patriarch gritted his teeth and took one step at a time with trepidation. He had a premonition that he would soon reach the end. Soon, when he reached the 600th step, dueling immortal venerable could not take another step, as if an invisible force was hindering him. Ah, dueling immortal venerable sighed helplessly, and when he looked back, the expression on his face was very surprised. Because he discovered that 99% of the powerful people at the scene were behind him. The position I am in is already considered top-notch. Haha, it seems that my qualifications are still very strong. The giant spirit immortal showed joy on his face, and felt great satisfaction in his heart. At this time, he noticed the middle-aged man who was standing still, waved and shouted, "Fellow Taoist Changsheng, why are you standing there in a daze? Come over here and try." "Fellow Taoist giant spirit, I'm coming right away." The immortal ancestor smiled and then rushed towards the stairs. Then, in full view of everyone, he climbed the 500 steps in one breath and rushed towards the 600th step. "Fellow Taoist immortal, you are almost catching up with me." The giant spirit immortal laughed heartily, thinking that the other party was at least on the same level as him. Result: the immortal ancestor passed him directly and continued to move towards the stairs above. The giant spirit immortal was confused, his eyes were as big as copper bells, and he looked at the middle-aged figure walking away. "What's going on? Can you go up here?" The ancestor of immortality walked as fast as flying, leaving everyone far behind, and went straight to the 700th step. By the 750th level, he began to feel more pressure, his speed became slower and slower, and every step was as heavy as a ton of weight. "No, are you almost reaching your limit?" The immortal ancestor gritted his teeth, and the veins on his forehead were exposed. At last, he was forced to stop at the 790th step, looking at the remaining steps above with deep reluctance in his eyes. "That's the immortal lord of the Qingtian domain. I didn't expect his qualifications to be so strong. It is said that he has fought against Shu Zhen immortal lord before and was able to overwhelm him." Is there such a thing? Sure enough, this one is not simple. There was a lot of chatter behind the scenes. Many people are surprised by the qualifications of the immortal ancestor. I'm afraid even the immortal emperor has hope. Amitabha, I'm a humble monk who dares to try this so-called qualification platform to see if it's accurate or not. Immortal Maitreya clasped his hands together and said solemnly. Everyone showed contempt. This old bald donkey will be very accurate if the number of steps he steps on is large, but if the number of steps he steps on is small, he will be inaccurate. What a person who can move forward and retreat freely. Chapter 512. C514 No Limit. Then, Maitreya Immortal Venerable kept his hands together and climbed the steps step by step as if worshipping Buddha. HMPH, don't forget that I am here. Qishao Immortal Venerable jumped up, full of momentum, unwilling to fall behind this old rival. With the addition of Qishao Immortal Venerable, Maitreya Immortal Venerable's pace also became faster, and the two seemed to be secretly competing. The 400th step, the 500th step, the 600th step, the 700th step. Soon, they came to the 790th step where the longevity ancestor was, but they did not stop, but continued to walk up. However, Qishao Immortal Venerable and Maitreya Immortal Venerable were no longer as relaxed as before, but their steps became difficult. Old bald donkey, if this goes on, I can still walk another 200 steps, can you? Donor, if you can really do it, what if I turn around and go back to the starting point? What do you mean? Do you think I am scaring you? Monks don't lie. Soon, Maitreya Immortal Venerable stepped onto the 798th step with difficulty. After trying for a long time, he still did not take the next step. And Qishao Immortal Venerable, one step higher than him, stayed at the 799th step. Forget it, I won't leave. Qishao Immortal Venerable knew that he was hopeless, but he was unwilling to admit it, as if he had given up on his own initiative. Amitabha, as I expected, this so-called qualification platform is not accurate. Maitreya Immortal Venerable sighed. Hearing this, Qishao Immortal Venerable sneered, you should have some shame. I think it is quite accurate. Maitreya Immortal Venerable shook his head and said with pity, Donor, you are obsessed. Watching them sabotage each other, a group of strong men felt speechless. But it must be said that the qualifications of these two people are really high. No wonder they can achieve such a status in Beihan Immortal Domain. Even so, they can't step onto the 800th step, not to mention the 900th step and even the 1000th step. It can be seen how strict the standard of this qualification platform is. Wait, Emperor Yi Tian seems to have not been tested yet. No wonder I always feel like I've missed something, it turns out he hasn't entered the qualification platform yet. Your Excellency Emperor Yi Tian, please let us see how far you can go. I think the 800th level is definitely stable. Yes, I think so too, if it's Emperor Yi Tian, it will definitely work. In an instant, many eyes focused on Yi Junlin, full of deep expectations. At this time, Yi Junlin appeared calm on the surface, but he was actually a little flustered in his heart. Because he had come all the way by relying on others' cultivation to reach this level. What is qualification? Can it be eaten? After all, even if his qualification is extremely poor, as long as there is a system that makes him stronger when he meets a stronger person, he can get a cultivation level one small level higher than the other person from a higher level of cultivation. In the long run, what does he need to practice for? Qualification is even more useless. Therefore, when he saw the qualification platform, which could test the qualification level according to the number of steps he took, Yi Junlin felt like 1,000 horses were passing by in his heart. He was afraid of making a fool of himself in such an occasion. After all, he was now well known and had a high status in the eyes of everyone. If the number of steps he stepped on was pitifully small, how embarrassing it would be. At this time, seeing that it was finally his turn, Yi Junlin decided to go all out after doing a good job of psychological work. It's embarrassing to be embarrassed. Anyway, the strength is there, who dares to say anything? Then, under the attention of the crowd, Yi Junlin pretended to cough a few times and walked up the steps step by step. He was very nervous in his heart. The 100th step, the 200th step, the 300th step. Yi Junlin patiently walked up. Until the 600th step, he still felt very relaxed, which made him more confident and his steps became more brisk. The 700th step, Yi Junlin continued to walk up the steps, and soon passed by the Chengsheng Patriarch. This guy is coming up. Kai Shaoshanzun looked a little ugly. In fact, in his heart, he was already impressed by Yi Junlin's strength and felt that he could step onto the 800th step. Amitabha, Maitreya Xianzun chanted the Buddha's name and said no more. Until the 799th step, Yi Junlin suddenly stopped, looking a little surprised. What's going on? Even this guy can't do it. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. The next second, Yi Junlin took a step directly and came to the 800th step. The whole audience was silent at first, and then a sensation broke out. Haha, I knew that Yi Tiandi would definitely be able to do it. Everyone was very happy and cheered. It seemed that they had witnessed a miracle. Humph. Kai Xiaoshanzun snorted coldly, what are you so proud of? It's just one more step than this seat. As a result, as soon as the voice fell, Yi Junlin took a step and walked away. The 801st step, the 802nd step, the 803rd step, the 804th step. Witnessing this scene, everyone was stunned. Can he continue? It turns out that the 800th step is not the limit of Emperor Yi Tian. Emperor Yi Tian is awesome. As Yi Junlin climbed up the stairs step by step, the atmosphere of the whole venue was pushed to a climax. This is not difficult. Yi Junlin walked on the stairs, still feeling relaxed and without any pressure. Tongzi, is my aptitude really high? He thought about it and asked the system secretly. Ding, to put it simply, after the host obtained the inheritance of the fallen immortal island, he already had the initial appearance of the immortal emperor. Based on this, the host can only reach the 800th step at most. Closing square bracket. The system's voice sounded. Yi Junlin was stunned. He looked down at his feet and found that he was already at the 830th step without realizing it. What's going on? As if seeing Yi Junlin's confusion, the system continued to explain. The reason why it can exceed this number is that the host has the characteristic of becoming stronger when facing a stronger one. No cultivation is needed. As long as you face a stronger person, you can get a higher cultivation. In a sense, the host's qualifications are stronger than the so-called immortal emperor's appearance. There is no limit. There is no end. Closing square bracket. What? Yi Junlin was dumbfounded. His qualifications are unlimited and endless. In this case, doesn't that mean? At the same time, seeing Yi Junlin stop at the 830th step, the ancestors of Chengsheng couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. This result is so damn scary. I thought 800 steps was the limit, but I didn't expect that I could go 30 more steps. Isn't this aptitude too abnormal? If I don't become an immortal emperor in the future, it's not acceptable. Seeing this scene, Kai Xiaoshanzun's cheeks hurt like a slap on the face, and he gritted his teeth and said, "You are so cruel to be able to reach this point." If it was one more step, he could still be stubborn, but the other party was dozens of steps more than him, he couldn't refuse to accept it. Amitabha, I still think this aptitude is not accurate, Maitreya said faintly. Kai Xiaoshanzun glanced at the other party and said contemptuously, "Old bald donkey, stop it." Obviously, Maitreya was so thick-skinned that even he couldn't stand it. Suddenly, someone exclaimed, "Oh my god, he can still continue." In the eyes of countless shocked people, Yi Junlin paused for a moment and still walked towards the stairs above. No, strictly speaking, this time it's not walking. It's running. Chapter 513, C515. The mastermind behind the scenes is stunned. At this time, Yi Junlin seemed to let himself go, running up without any scruples. Everyone was stunned, their faces full of disbelief. Look, Yi Tiandi has already stepped on the 900th step. The most terrifying thing is that he can still go up. There is no intention of stopping at all. There is such a terrifying qualification in this world. The whole audience was in an uproar. Seeing that Yi Junlin was getting closer and closer to the top, everyone's heart was in their throat, as if they were witnessing a miracle. 990th step, 991st step, 992nd step, 993rd step. The scalp of Chengsheng Patriarch was numb, and he kept muttering in his mouth, watching the young man go to the highest step. Soon, his pupils were trembling, as if he saw the most unforgettable scene in his life. 1,000 steps. Chengsheng Patriarch was like a cat that stepped on its tail, almost jumping up, and said in a lost voice. That's right, that man stepped on the top of the stairs. It can be said that he was a horse that was far ahead of the rest of the trialists. The giant spirit immortal venerable and the others were stunned, staring blankly at the back, and the shock in their hearts was like a surging wave. Originally thought that the 800th step was the limit, but they didn't expect that the other party would directly go to the 1000th step. In fact, what they didn't know was that if the qualification platform was more than 1000 steps, Yi Junlin could continue to move up. In other words, 1000 steps was the limit of the qualification platform, not Yi Junlin's limit. Not to mention 1000 steps, even if it was 100,000 steps, Yi Junlin could easily step on it. Because his qualifications were ominous, in a sense, there was no upper limit at all. In other words, it was a concept god. Amitabha, even the legendary immortal emperor is only like this. Maitreya Immortal Venerable was stunned at first, and it took him a long time to recover, and said with an expression of disbelief. You know, he was limited by the environment of Bahan Immortal Realm in this life. Even so, he could cultivate to the top level second only to the Immortal Emperor. However, he couldn't even step into the 800th step on the qualification platform. But Yi Junlin was different. He went directly to the 1000th step. What exactly does this mean? Just thinking about it, he felt that his scalp was almost bursting. Buddha, open your eyes and look at what a terrible monster this is. Old bald donkey, you were right, this qualification platform is indeed inaccurate. Kai Shaoshanzun seemed to have confirmed it, his eyes flashed with wisdom, and said in a deep voice. Maitreya Xianzun was stunned, and the expression on his face was very wonderful. I have already believed it, but you said this. Can we have a tacit understanding? Yi Junlin stood at the top of the stairs, turned around and looked down, feeling like he was on the top of the mountain and looked down at all the mountains. At this moment, everyone below was looking at him with shocked eyes. It was like ordinary people looking up at gods. Great. Yi Junlin let out a long sigh, feeling that he was pretending to be a big shot, which was very nice. In a space that he could not see, a strange shadow was watching the qualification platform, taking in the performance of all the trialists. 1000 levels, what a joke. Is there really anyone in this world who can reach it? The one who spoke was the mastermind behind the Soul Heaven Secret Realm, and he also had a resounding name, which shocked the Middle-earth Immortal Realm. That was Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor. Although he was indeed an immortal emperor, that was a thing of the past, because now he was just a spirit. The reason for creating this secret realm and setting up 3 levels was actually to select the strongest genius and then take over his body. The Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor was very self-aware and did not dare to go to other immortal realms to do this. After all, the other 4 immortal realms each had multiple immortal emperors in charge, and only the Bahan Immortal Realm did not even have a creature at the level of an immortal emperor. This gave him an opportunity to take advantage of. Emperor Huntian remembered it very clearly. At that time, he was seriously injured and dying. He fled to this place in a hurry and used his last remaining strength to create a secret realm. Then, he used several pieces of Emperor artifacts as bait, intending to carry out his carefully arranged plan after his death. He raised the threshold to the realm of Immortal Venerable in order to attract the strongest group of cultivators in Bahan Immortal Domain to compete for the Emperor artifacts. He wanted to select the most outstanding Tianzhao from this group of people for him to possess. For this reason, Emperor Huntian specially set up 3 levels, the first of which was to test the qualifications of the cultivators. For cultivators, qualifications are very important. As a former emperor, he naturally attaches great importance to qualifications. Therefore, Emperor Huntian created the qualification platform, using the number of steps to prove the level of personal qualifications. According to his idea, being able to step on the 800th step is already a preliminary appearance of the emperor, and he is the most satisfied object of possession. Even if there is no 800 steps, as long as you can get close, it's fine. Anyway, with his previous experience of successfully ascending to the Immortal Emperor, he could make up for even a small gap. Originally, when the Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor saw the Kai Shao Immortal Venerable stepping onto the 799th step, he was very happy and immediately took the other party as the primary target of possession. Unexpectedly, Yi Junlin, as a latecomer, stepped onto the 800th step in one breath, which made the Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor suddenly fall into ecstasy. This is his ideal type. As a result, a shocking scene happened. Yi Junlin did not stop at the 800th step, but continued to go up, which stunned the Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor. Finally, he reached the top of the 1000th step. No one knows how shocked the Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor was at that moment. Although he set up the qualification platform, he did not intend to set up the remaining 200 steps except for the 800 steps, just to make the qualification platform more complete. Because from the beginning, the Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor did not think that anyone in the world could reach the 900 steps, or even the highest 1000 steps. Even if he himself came to walk, he would only reach the 800 steps at most. But Yi Junlin broke this setting. The 800 steps already have the initial appearance of the Immortal Emperor. What is the 1000 steps? Who can tell me? The Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor felt his head buzzing, and did not dare to think about it further. He looked at Yi Junlin's figure, his eyes full of endless passion, as if he was looking at a rare treasure. If he had this kind of terrifying qualification, let alone returning to the realm of the Immortal Emperor, even if he became the legendary existence above the Immortal Emperor, it would be a foregone conclusion. This time, I really picked up a treasure, ha 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 ha. The Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor was extremely excited. Yu Huasheng, just wait, you won't be so proud for long. The next second, he seemed to think of something, and a deep hatred burst out of his eyes. Yu Huasheng, the founder of Yuha Dao Palace, was named Yuha Immortal Emperor because he broke through the realm of Immortal Venerable several years ago. At the same time, he has another identity, that is, the founder of Yuha sect in the east region of Kunlun realm. Chapter 514, C516 Yi Junline, I am also helpless. Who would have thought that the founder of the Yuha sect would become an immortal emperor in the long years after ascending to the immortal realm? His life is undoubtedly legendary. But what's even more incredible is that Yu Huasheng, who had just broken through the immortal emperor, was able to push the Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor to this point. The Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor was afraid and hated Yu Huasheng, because he was seriously injured and dying by the opponent, and finally had no choice but to escape here to evolve this secret realm. The source of all this is that he discovered a shocking secret of Yu Huasheng. It was because of this that he was killed. But now, the Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor is full of confidence in his revenge. Although Yu Huasheng is very evil, he has an even more evil existence here, which is enough to support his next ambitions. Just as everyone gradually recovered from the shock, the familiar majestic voice sounded again in the Immortal Palace. The first level is over, and the number of box openings will be allocated according to ranking. Then, numbers appeared above everyone's heads, respectively marking the number of unboxings obtained in the first level. That's it. Qishao Immortal looked at the number 50 above his head with a very depressed expression. He glanced at the number 40 above the head of Immortal Maitreya, and felt very uncomfortable. The gap between the second and third place was not big. Immediately, looking at the eye-catching number of times above Yi Junline's head, Qishao Immortal Lord's eyes suddenly turned red. 200 openings. This is the treatment for first place. All kinds of emotions of envy, jealousy and hatred filled his heart, making Qishao Immortal almost go crazy on the spot. After settling the rewards, the Immortal Palace has undergone new changes. The continuous stairs disappeared, replaced by a pile of mysterious spheres that looked like glass and eclipsed them. These mysterious spheres swirl slowly, exuding an ancient aura. What is this for? Everyone looked surprised. The second level is open. Now to test your luck, please put your hand on the luck beads. You can detect the color of your luck to distinguish the strong and weak. In the Immortal Palace, the emotionless voice sounded like a machine. I didn't expect that the second level was actually a test of luck. The Immortal Ancestor raised his eyebrows. No matter what race, every creature carries its own destiny, which is even more important than the level of qualifications. If you are a person of great luck, even if you have poor qualifications, you can soar through successive adventures. Therefore, luck is very important for monks. Interesting, let me try it. The giant spirit immortal put his hand on the sphere with interest. In an instant, the originally eclipsed luck pearl burst into a blue light. Haha, looks good, the giant spirit immortal said with satisfaction. Through the contact just now, I learned that the color of light represents the strength of luck. From low to high, they are gray, white, red, blue, purple, and gold. If his luck shows blue, it already belongs to the fourth level. I'll try it too. Many powerful people became interested and put their hands on the luck beads, wanting to see how high their luck level was. Soon, the results came out, almost all light blue, and some even dark red. Huh, even I am blue. Qishao Immortal looked at the blue sphere in front of him, with some dissatisfaction on his face. Like Immortal Maitreya, he is dark blue. What about me? The Immortal Ancestor held his breath and gently put his hand on it. Aha! A lavender light appeared, overshadowing the surrounding strong men. What? Everyone was stunned. I was shocked by the great luck of the Immortal Ancestor. I saw the luck bead emitting a lavender light, with a sacred and auspicious aura. This is impossible, how can he be stronger than us? Qishao Immortal was almost shocked. Even for a peerless immortal at his level, his luck can only be dark blue. On the other hand, the luck of this guy who is not as strong as him can reach the purple level. This is too state-of-the-art. Immortal Maitreya was also stunned. His facial muscles twitched a few times, then he clasped his hands together and said shamelessly and seriously, it seems that these so-called luck beads are also inaccurate. Agree, Qishao Immortal said angrily. My luck is actually so strong. The Longevity Ancestor was very surprised and murmured with a confused look on his face. If his luck was so strong, why did he encounter such a terrifying opponent in the Supreme Secret Realm that he was hung up and lost the game? This doesn't make sense. Fellow Taoist immortal, congratulations, Yi Junlin said. I'm letting you Taoist Yi see the joke. The immortal ancestor said with a complex expression. Anyway, he didn't feel the convenience brought by the purple luck, and he doubted the accuracy of the luck beads. Is it better than luck? Yi Junlin calmly raised his hand and put it down unhurriedly. The next second, the luck orb began to tremble violently, and the light it emitted was golden as he had guessed. But it's not over yet. The golden light inside the sphere expands more and more, as if it is pregnant with a golden sun. Aha! The vast golden light covered the entire immortal palace, and everyone's vision was filled with golden light. Bang 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 bang! Suddenly, the densely packed chi luck beads all shattered without any warning, as if they could not withstand the huge energy fluctuation. When the beads used to detect luck were broken, the dazzling golden light disappeared. The scene returned to its original state. Instantly. The whole place was silent. The cultivators were stunned, still recalling the shocking scene. It was fine to detect the golden luck, but the most incredible thing was that even the luck beads could not withstand the explosion. Such a terrible luck, is there any justice? Dao Yu, Changsheng Patriarch was stunned and felt incredible. For some reason, this happened to this young man, and he felt it was reasonable. After a while, Changsheng Patriarch seemed to remember something, and suddenly reacted. His eyes were bigger than copper bells, and an amazing thought flashed through his mind. The invincible and lonely man I met in the Supreme Canyon, could it be Dao Yu? The more Changsheng Patriarch thought about it, the more possible it was. If this was true, even if he had purple luck, it would be understandable for him to be abused into slag. Fellow Taoist Yi, how should I face you next? The corner of Changsheng Patriarch's mouth pulled out a bitter smile, and he felt very absurd in his heart. To be honest, he would rather not discover this secret for the rest of his life. He felt inexplicably uncomfortable in his heart. There is a conspiracy, there is definitely a conspiracy. Tell me, what method did you use? Kai Shaoshanzun recovered from his shock, pointed at Yi Junlin with a trembling finger, and shouted with extremely excited emotions. This made him feel even more unacceptable than Changsheng Patriarch's detection of purple luck. It's really ridiculous. Yi Junlin was also a little surprised that all the luck beads exploded. After all, this was very different from what he expected. But soon, he regained his composure. Facing the crazy dog barking of Kai Shaoshanzun, Yi Junlin spread his hands at this time, shook his head, and sighed. Hey, who made me reach the limit of this segment with just a little effort? I am also helpless. Chapter 515, C517 Kai Shaoshanzun, I will definitely win this. Hear the words. Everyone was silent. The muscles in the corners of their eyes were twitching crazily, and the expressions on their faces were very exciting. Listen, what is this called? When it comes to showing off, who can be better than you? Qi Shao Immortal was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He held his chest for a long time and could not regain his strength. In the first level, the opponent climbed to the highest point of the ladder, and in the second level, the luck test exploded the luck beads. This is simply an unprecedented monster. Amitabha, Immortal Maitreya twisted a string of Buddhist beads in his hand, closed his eyes tightly, and muttered words. It seemed that everything Yi Junlin did had a great impact on his ideas, and he needed to chant Buddhist scriptures orally to maintain his mentality. After all, I have lived for so long, and this is the first time I have seen such an outrageous thing. At the same time, the Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor in the hidden space had a face full of shock, and his whole body seemed motionless as if a immobilization spell had been cast on him. It is true that the Chi Luck Pearl was created by him to detect the strength and weakness of Chi Luck. But what he looked forward to most from the beginning was that the owner of purple luck, even if it was just lavender, would have great fortune in the future. This was his original primary goal. As for the extremely rare, king-like golden luck, he couldn't even think about it, because the owners of golden luck, even most immortal emperors, were not qualified to shoulder it. How many immortal emperors would be ecstatic to have a ray of golden luck? However, he saw in that silver-haired young man the golden luck that only existed in rumors. The most terrifying thing is that it is still the most refined and pure kind, even the luck beads he made cannot withstand it. So how strong should this luck be? Just thinking about it made Huntian Immortal Emperor's scalp numb and his whole body trembling. This is no longer an ordinary child of luck. I got a big deal, ha 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 ha. He was like a madman, dancing excitedly, his eyes full of excitement. Not only does he have unparalleled qualifications, but he also has unparalleled luck. This is the person he never dared to dream about. Now, he was touched. The third level is the last step of cutting leaks. Everyone will die here. The only one who can get out is me who has regained my life. Immortal Emperor Huntian said with excitement on his face and impatiently. From the very beginning, this was a trap. The purpose was to lure the strongest talents from the northern Han immortal territory to come over and select his most satisfying target. Finally, in order to leak the news, he will kill everyone who enters the secret realm, leaving no one behind. Regardless of the fact that the immortal emperor of the soul heaven has lost his physical body, leaving only a divine soul. Logically speaking, his strength has been greatly reduced, and he is even invincible to the immortal king, but he is confident and full of confidence. This is not blind confidence, but that he has an alternative means of attack. In that special state, ordinary immortal emperors would fall into his trap and die on the spot. What's more, what about Yi Junlin and his group of immortals? Now, the show is officially on. A strange smile appeared on the corner of the Soul Tien immortal emperor's mouth, and the smile was so terrifying that it made people shudder. Just after the second level test is completed, the number of rewards is also being distributed. The number of unboxings above Yi Junlin's head suddenly increased to 400, which was the envy of others. Why do I feel like this is Emperor Yi Tian's personal show? We have come all the way to serve as foils. A handsome man with a jade crown on his head said depressedly. Haha, you just know that. If this continues, Emperor Yi Tian will be able to open the box 600 times, and the chance of opening the Immortal Emperor artifact is at least 80%. I'm envious. It would be nice to share half of it with me. Hey, I hope he doesn't have the 5 Immortal Emperor weapons by then. There was a lot of discussion about this. HMPH, I just hope that this third level will stop favoring that guy named Yi. Qi Shao Immortal said in a sour tone. My Buddha bless you. Immortal Maitreya chanted the Buddha's name and prayed devoutly. At this time, the familiar majestic voice echoed in the Immortal Palace, the third level is opened, all trialists please be prepared. Aha! In front of everyone, a dazzling light quickly rose, and then bloomed like fireworks, revealing 3 bright characters. Open black lens bracket comparison of size close black lens bracket. Saw this scene, everyone took a deep breath, their eyes filled with disbelief. Comparing size, real or fake? The third level test is too simple and crude, right? Ha ha ha, now it's finally my turn to be in the area where I have the most advantage. Qi Shao Immortal was stunned at first and said ecstatically. As he spoke, he deliberately straightened his back and glanced sideways at the audience, looking like he was the most labor-intensive person. Oops, Qi Shao Immortal once managed 3,000 women in one night. It is said that all the women who enjoyed sex with him were conquered by his unique strengths. Maybe he will be far ahead in this final hurdle. Quote. Someone exclaimed. As soon as these words came out, the whole hall was shocked. Countless eyes full of astonishment were focused on Qi Shao Immortal, making him feel elated, as if he had a winning ticket. On the other hand, the female immortals at the scene all spat in shame and annoyance, secretly saying that this third-level test was really unfair. After all, only men can compare to that size. What are these women comparing themselves to? The immortal ancestor looked strange. No, is it really a comparison of size? In such a serious occasion, such a weird test content appears, no matter how you look at it, it seems ridiculous. Ahem, Yi Junlin touched his nose and pretended to cough a few times. Well, if we really want to compete, I'm afraid you will feel inferior. Quote question mark quote. Everyone was immediately unhappy when they heard it. You are awesome in the first 2 levels, but you think you can lead us in this level? It's too contemptuous. Emperor Yi Tian, I have always been inferior to you before, but this time I will definitely avenge my previous shame. Just watch, this is my pride. The more Kai Shao Shanzun spoke, the more excited he became. He tore off his robe and showed his treasure without paying attention to others. Fuck, many strong men were stunned by this sudden move. Your desire to win is too strong, right? The female Shanzun present was startled and subconsciously wanted to look away, but the lingering of their eyes betrayed their true thoughts. Their faces flushed, and they could only swallow their saliva. No wonder this Kai Shao Xianzun is so confident. It turns out that there is a real thing. Ahahaha, watch carefully, I will definitely win the third level. Who among you is bigger than me? Who is? Kai Shao Xianzun put his hands on his waist and shouted without hesitation. When he thought that he could beat everyone and get the first place in the third level, he felt proud. Cool, it's so cool. However, at this time, the reminder sound of the secret realm sounded out of place. The third level tests the size of the soul. Please let your soul leave your body and enter the test space in front. Hearing this, Kai Shao Xianzun's laughter stopped abruptly, and the smile slowly disappeared from his face. At this moment, his eyes revealed despair. No. Chapter 516. C518 Dignity is shattered to the ground. I thought they were comparing that thing, but they didn't expect it was the size of the soul. The unexpected turn of events broke Kai Shao Xianzun's mentality on the spot. In an instant, countless strange eyes made him feel ashamed, and he wished he could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. Embarrassing, really too embarrassing. Even though Kai Shao Xianzun had experienced many storms, he couldn't help blushing and quickly put on his robe again. Kai Shao benefactor, remember not to be too anxious to prove yourself next time, and think twice before doing anything. Maitreya Xianzun said slowly. To Kai Shao Xianzun, these words seemed to be a deliberate finishing blow. Shut up, old bald donkey, I don't need you to teach me a lesson. Kai Shao Xianzun glared at him angrily and said angrily. Ha ha ha. Suddenly, a purple-robed man couldn't help laughing, and then he seemed to realize something, and hurriedly stopped laughing, lowered his head, and beads of sweat overflowed from his forehead. He was particularly afraid of being retaliated. Unfortunately, it was too late. Kai Shao Xianzun first glanced at him with a cold look in his eyes, and a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. In his heart, he had already listed him as a member of the must-kill list. As long as he left the secret realm, he would settle accounts with him later. Many strong men tried hard to hold back their laughter, not daring to laugh out loud, for fear of being spotted by Kai Shao Xianzun and causing trouble later. Ha 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 ha. The next second, an unbridled laugh broke the atmosphere, making Kai Shao Xianzun feel humiliated and his forehead veins throbbing wildly. Damn, who dared to laugh at him in public? Kai Shao Xianzun looked at him with murderous intent on his face, but the anger that was about to burst out was forcibly held back. Just because that person was the only one in the audience that he couldn't afford to offend. At this time, Yi Junlin laughed out loud, as if he saw the funniest scene in his life. He didn't know if it was intentional, but the laughter was quite magical and very contagious. This sounded very harsh to Kai Shao Xianzun. Is it funny? Kai Shao Xianzun suppressed his anger and squeezed out these words with difficulty. Yes, it's really funny. Ah ha 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 ha. Yi Junlin laughed and shouted, come and laugh at him. Don't hold it back, if he dares to touch you, I will kill him. Hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up and they were ready to move. The reason why they didn't dare to laugh out loud was mainly because they were afraid of Kai Shao Xianzun's revenge. After all, Kai Shao Xianzun's strength was obvious to all. But now that the young man came forward to guarantee, they had full confidence. Soon, one after another, people couldn't hold back their laughter and laughed out loud, full of joy. Ha 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 ha. Soon, as if a chain reaction had formed, the cultivators present laughed without scruples, looking at Kai Shao Xianzun as if they were looking at a clown, with a face full of sarcasm. The cheerful laughter shook the earth and filled the entire immortal palace. You guys. Kai Shao Xianzun was so angry that his face turned the color of liver. The frustration and shame in his heart were intertwined, and the dignity of being a strong man was shattered. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. I order you not to laugh. Ah 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 ah. However, with Yi Junlin's support, no one paid attention to Kai Shao Xianzun's threats. They all laughed mockingly, like a devil's sound filling their brains. Poor Kai Shao Xianzun, looking around at the strong people who laughed at him, his heart was left with an indelible trauma. His eyes became much dimmer. Suddenly, Kai Shao Xianzun found that the old monk beside him still kept his hands clasped together, his face calm, and did not laugh at him with the mainstream of the public. In an instant, his heart was inexplicably touched. Although the other party was his old opponent, he was also the one who respected him the most. Old Baldy, no, fellow Taoist Maitreya, as expected, your thought realm is still high, not as superficial and childish as them. Kai Shao Xianzun completely let go of his prejudice and said with emotion. Good, good, Kai Shao's words are too much, I am just a person who has escaped from vulgar tastes. Maitreya Xianzun said in a deep voice. Well, I believe you. Kai Shao Xianzun nodded with satisfaction, and his attitude became much friendlier. Little did he know that as soon as he turned his head, Maitreya Xianzun's mouth corner raised an extremely subtle arc. The joyful laughter gradually stopped. The people whose emotions were perfectly vented had spring breeze on their faces and were in a very good mood. Then, everyone followed the guidance of the immortal palace and their souls left their bodies and entered the mysterious space in front. What came into view was a desolate world. The people who left their bodies were suspended in the state of souls, and they all looked like translucent shadows. Now, Please start to show the size of your souls. The familiar majestic voice echoed between heaven and earth. Rumble. Many people's minds moved, and their souls began to grow huge, all of which were at the level of tens of thousands of feet, and only a few could reach 80,000 feet. This is the category of immortal soul. You know, the soul is very important, to some extent more important than the lifespan of a cultivator. Because if the soul is decayed, then even if the lifespan is sufficient, there are not many days to live. Therefore, in the immortal world, you can often see immortal kings and even immortal emperors, who obviously have a long lifespan, but because of the decline of their own souls, they eventually sit in the cave. And coming to the realm of immortals is a new transformation. Not only the lifespan is longer and longer, but also the soul is much stronger. Now, in this special world, everyone unreservedly revealed the size of their souls, which also marked the strength and weakness of their respective souls. Each of them is thousands of feet tall, standing tall and uneven. Which one is strong and which one is weak is clear at a glance. My soul is 8,000 feet long, which corresponds to the cultivation level of the 8th level immortal lord, said the immortal ancestor. After all, in most cases, unless one deliberately cultivates the soul is linked to one's own cultivation level. It's really like this. Out of curiosity, Yi Junlin also let the spirit skyrocket as much as possible to the limit, and finally stayed at the height of 9,000 feet. Haha, the same is true for me. Now everyone is the same, right? Qishao Immortal Lord was determined and sneered. Although he is not the only first place, if he is tied for first place, he can accept this result. I'm afraid I will disappoint all the donors. However, Immortal Maitreya showed a meaningful smile on his face. Boom boom boom. Immediately afterwards, under the shocked eyes of everyone, Immortal Maitreya's soul skyrocketed at an incredible speed, quickly exceeding the level of 9,000 feet, and then continued to rise. 100,000 feet. In the end, his soul stayed at the height of 100,000 feet. Immortal Maitreya, who is over 100,000 meters tall, has the feeling of being able to look down at the mountains. Everyone looks like a dwarf, including Yi Junlin and Qishao Immortal. You, how did you do that? Qishao Immortal Master looked shocked and raised his finger in disbelief. Amitabha, Maitreya Immortal Lord sighed. The poor monk happens to have a Buddhist method for tempering the soul. He practices in his spare time, and the soul has reached such a high level. It is really embarrassing. This statement feels quite pretentious. But everyone had to admit that they were indeed tricked by this old bald donkey. I didn't expect that he would be the first in the 3rd level. The longevity ancestor said with a bitter smile. It's really surprising. A strange color flashed in Yi Junlin's eyes. In the past, he was the only one who showed off, but this time he was upstaged, which made him really uncomfortable. Damn it, is it more meaningful than this? Seeing Immortal Maitreya coming out on top, Qishao Immortal felt very sad and said angrily. How he hoped that he could get first place, even just once. At this time, looking at Yi Junlin, who was only 9,000 feet tall, Immortal Maitreya's mind couldn't help but become active, and traces of murderous intent were revealed in his eyes. Before, his strength outside was far inferior to that of his opponent, but now, he has the absolute advantage of the soul, making it easy to carry out a counterattack. If the soul is destroyed here, then the body left outside will also die, like a lifeless empty shell. And Yi Junlin's performance outside made Immortal Maitreya feel a huge crisis, and he felt that it was absolutely necessary to get rid of it quickly. Thoughts are turning. Maitreya Immortal Lord squinted his eyes and stared at Yi Junlin, as if he was going to violently kill him in the next second. A soul of 10,000 feet versus a soul of 9,000 feet, anyone who is not a fool knows who will win. After all, they are all in the state of divine souls now. Even if they have great abilities, they will be left out. They are purely competing for their divine souls. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows, clearly feeling that the old bald donkey had a strong murderous intention towards him. Good guy, are you taking advantage of this opportunity to take action? Suddenly, at this moment, a gloomy voice sounded between heaven and earth. Hey, none of you can escape now. The words just fell. The passage into the small world was instantly closed, directly cutting off everyone's connection with the main body outside. What's going on? Everyone was shocked, and an ominous premonition emerged in their hearts. A phantom that was also in a spirit state came over with its hands behind its back. The middle-aged man has triangular eyes, a hooked nose, and a meaningful smile on his face. His eyes are like looking at a group of lambs waiting to be slaughtered. He did not manifest the ultimate height of his soul, so he looked as small as an ant in front of a group of huge souls. But the problem is that no one here dares to underestimate him. On the contrary, he feels like he is facing a formidable enemy. Who are you? Qi Shao Immortal said angrily. Listen up, you ants, I am the Immortal Emperor of Soul Heaven. Boom, the middle-aged man's voice sounded like thunder, and the world was almost overwhelmed by it, and even everything else was eclipsed. Huntian Immortal Emperor. Upon hearing this somewhat familiar name, many powerful men were stunned at first, with horrified expressions on their faces, and felt extremely frightened when they thought about it. The Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor is a long-famous Immortal Emperor-level figure in the Middle-earth Immortal domain. It is said that his reputation is not very good. But what makes them most uneasy is that the other party specially set up this secret realm to lure them in. No matter how you look at it, it has ulterior motives. Senior, I would like to ask you why you want to trap us. Qi Shao Immortal Lord's aura suddenly disappeared, and he spoke in awe. After all, that is an Immortal Emperor. Everyone from the Immortal Emperor to the Immortal Emperor is an ant, not to mention that he is still on someone else's territory. Even if he is not a coward, he can't do it. Chapter 517, C519 Desperate Moment. The Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor said meaningfully, the reason is very simple, I need your souls. Between the words, there is a terrifying murderous intention hidden. What? Everyone shuddered. At the same time, they also felt that it was very ridiculous. A dignified Immortal Emperor-level boss actually went to great lengths to lay a trap for the souls of their group of Immortal Lord-level powerhouses. It's too involved. The Immortal Ancestor suppressed the fear in his heart and said in a tentative tone, Senior, to you, we are just a group of ants. Why did you come all the way here to set up this trap? HMPH, do you think I am willing? The Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor seemed to have been hit at a painful point, his emotions fluctuated very strongly, and he shouted angrily. If my body hadn't been beaten to the point of being irreparably broken, how could I have done such a thing in my capacity? If I wanted to harm you, I would have arrested them one by one. Hear the words. Everyone looked at each other with shock in their eyes. This sentence reveals a lot of information. It turned out that the opponent was seriously injured and dying in the Middle-earth Immortal Realm, and then fled to the Northern Cold Immortal Realm. Finally, he used his remaining strength to open up this secret realm and used it as a tactic to attract them. Would a dignified Immortal Emperor-level figure be forced to this point? Who was it that took action? So that's it. The previous levels are to screen out the most suitable objects to seize the body, and the test content of the third level is actually to let our souls leave the body and leave the body, so that you can take advantage of it. The Ancestor of Immortality looked ugly. As for the 5 Immortal Emperor weapons, they are all fake. For a moment, everyone looked sad and angry, feeling like they were being led around. If I had known earlier I wouldn't have come, they were all deceived. Wrong. Immortal Emperor Huntian corrected. The 5 Immortal Emperor weapons are real. After all, if you want the fish to take the bait, you must first have delicious bait. It's just that you are destined to not be able to take them away, haha. Amitabha, why did you commit such a crime? It would be better to put down your butcher knife and become a Buddha immediately. Immortal Maitreya said bravely. To be fair, he really didn't want to die here. You are an ant-like thing, but you are worthy of preaching in front of this Immortal Emperor. Do you really think that since your soul reaches 100,000 feet, you are qualified to compete with me? I'm afraid you don't know why I am called Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor. As he spoke, the Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor thought, and the entire soul began to surge at an incredible speed. Boom boom boom. First it was tens of thousands of feet, and then it easily broke through 100,000 feet, and the height continued to skyrocket, as if there was never a limit. 200,000 feet, 300,000 feet, 400,000 feet, 500,000 feet, 600,000 feet, 700,000 feet. Breaking through 1,000,000 feet. Still going on. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned and the fear in their hearts became more and more intense. Rumble. Soon, a behemoth towering over the sky appeared. Its vast body was like an insurmountable sacred mountain, giving everyone an overwhelming sense of oppression. 29 million feet. That's right, the soul of the Huntian Immortal Emperor stops at 29 million feet. In front of him, even the Immortal Maitreya, who was 100,000 feet tall, was as small as an insect. How is this possible? The monks looked up at the vast figure, and a huge despair enveloped their hearts, making them feel hopeless. The gap is really huge. It's not of the same magnitude at all. With such a high level of soul, he could trample them to death just by raising his foot. Is this the soul of the Immortal Emperor? There is such a big gap with the Immortal Lord. Qi Shao Immortal Lord was so frightened that his scalp was numb and his whole body was cold. Haha, do you think any immortal emperor's soul can be on the same level as me? Even for the newly promoted immortal emperor, the height of the soul can only be raised to 5 million feet at most. And based on my own cultivation level, the normal level should be 8 million feet. The reason why I have reached such a height is because I majored in the divine soul technique and relied on devouring the spiritual souls of monks as nourishment. Finally, I proved the Tao with my soul. I was titled Soul Heavenly Immortal Emperor. Immortal Emperor Hun Tian said proudly. It was precisely because of this that he was able to survive relying on his soul. Senior, can't you let us go and form a good relationship? Immortal Lord Maitreya said humbly, knowing that he was powerful. Does a mere ant deserve to be associated with me? Immortal Emperor Hun Tian had long been unhappy with this old bald donkey, and immediately reached out to grab him. No, you can't do that. Immortal Maitreya was pinched like a jelly bean, and he struggled desperately to no avail. At this time, his face looked frightened, without the calm look before. Immortal Emperor Hun Tian threw it into his mouth and ate it directly. The screams echoed across the sky, then stopped abruptly. Seeing this scene, Qishao Immortal and the others were frightened to the point of feeling chills in their hearts, and their faces were full of despair. Master! A group of powerful Buddhist men accompanying him cried out sadly. After all, Maitreya Immortal Lord is the leader of the Paradise Realm. Now that his soul has been swallowed up, this also marks his fall. The taste is just so-so. Looking at the tiny ant-like figures below, the Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor showed a cruel smile on his lips. This feeling of trampling on other people's lives at will and controlling other people's life and death is so wonderful. It's over, we are dead. Many strong men said desperately, feeling very regretful in their hearts. I didn't expect that I would die like this in the end, Kai Shao Xianzun said with a sad look. Fellow Taoist Yi, I'm sorry for you. I dragged you here to die. You can do whatever you want to me now. Changsheng Patriarch knew that he had no hope of survival, and said to the young man beside him with a face full of self-blame. Because he was the one who told the other party about the secret realm before, the main responsibility lies with him. If it weren't for him, people wouldn't follow him to die. Invisibly, emotions such as shame, self-blame, and regret filled Changsheng Patriarch's heart. Hey, fortunately Xiao Luo didn't come with me. The Eternal Immortal Sect has her support, and it will be able to flourish in the future. Suddenly, Changsheng Patriarch thought of something and sighed secretly. Even without him, with Luo Qingwu sitting in the Eternal Immortal Sect, it can continue to maintain its previous status in the Qingtian domain. Moreover, Luo Qingwu has outstanding talent and is expected to break through the Immortal Emperor. The future of the sect must be brilliant. This is also the only place that comforts Changsheng Patriarch. At this moment, Yi Junlin didn't bother with the Changsheng Patriarch, or he was in no mood to care about such things. The most urgent thing was to come up with a way to deal with it. But now he only had a soul, and had long lost contact with his body outside. According to the current situation, what advantage did he have? Was he really going to die here? The eyes of the Soul Heavenly Immortal Emperor swept across the whole scene, and then stopped at the silver-haired young man, laughing. Boy, you are the biggest bargain I have picked up so far. As long as I take over your body, I can soar into the sky and soon become the strongest in the immortal world. As a thank you, let me personally send you on your way. As he said, he stretched out a big hand and grabbed Yi Junlin. Chapter 518, C520 Soul Heaven Shandi, I was wrong. Not good, Changsheng Patriarch exclaimed, his eyes full of grief and anger. Emperor Yi Tian, everyone looked anxious, thinking that they could already foresee the tragic scene that would follow. You know, even Maitreya Immortal Venerable, whose soul was 100,000 feet, was grabbed by the other party and thrown into his mouth and eaten, and Yi Junlin, whose soul was only 90,000 feet, naturally could not avoid the same fate. Looking at the big hand grabbing at him, Yi Junlin was enveloped by a huge pressure and could not move at all. Damn, am I really going to die this time? At the moment of life and death, Yi Junlin always felt unreal. What a joke, I am a traverser with a golden finger. If I die like this, wouldn't it be a disgrace to the army of traversers? Suddenly, a system prompt sounded in my mind. Ding, it is detected that the host is attacked by the enemy's soul, and now the passive effect of being stronger when encountering a strong opponent is triggered, and the soul is increased to 30 million feet. Close black lens bracket. As soon as the voice fell, Yi Junlin felt that his soul was surging like a sapling irrigated by divine water, growing into a towering tree at an incredible speed. Boom! In the eyes of countless shocked people, an unprecedented behemoth appeared, like a chaotic giant born when the world was first created, standing here motionless like a mountain. Yi, fellow Taoist Yi, how can you? The mouth of the Changsheng patriarch opened wide, as if an ostrich egg could be stuffed in, his eyes were almost popping out, and his heart was like a storm. 30 million feet. Kai Xiaoshanzun was stunned and looked stupid. Who could imagine that a soul of only 90,000 feet would suddenly surge to 30 million feet? Isn't it said that the newly promoted immortal emperor is only 5 million feet? How did that man do it? Could it be? Kai Xiaoshanzun's soul trembled, and he looked at Yi Junlin with fear and awe. That person's soul is stronger than Emperor Hun Tian. Others who witnessed this scene found it incredible. Could it be that this world-famous Emperor Yi Tian has another unknown identity? Fuck. When Emperor Hun Tian saw Yi Junlin's sudden growth without any signs and his height became much taller than himself, he was numb. He was so scared that he retracted his hand as if he had been electrocuted, stepped back, and screamed. What is going on? Am I hallucinating? Why is this kid's soul stronger than mine? And it is a million feet taller than me. At this time, no words can describe the true feelings of Emperor Hun Tian. It was a huge shock, or the degree of being almost scared to death. Yi Junlin looked down at this figure that was much shorter than him. The expression on his face was stunned at first, and then became subtle. He didn't expect that the characteristic of being stronger when facing a strong opponent could be triggered at this time, and even the duel between souls could meet the conditions for triggering the characteristic. It is indeed a system that gets stronger when facing a strong opponent. It is so awesome. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? Yi Junlin said with a joking face. This wave can be said to be full of advantages, and the initiative is back in his hands. You, how did you do it? Have you been hiding your strength all the time? Emperor Hun Tian's scalp numbed, and he felt panic and uneasiness in his heart, and trembled. Recalling the test results of the first 2 levels, combined with the current situation, he suddenly felt that Yi Junlin was unfathomable, and his identity on the surface was definitely not as simple as an immortal. After all, which immortal master is stronger in terms of soul than him, an immortal emperor who specializes in soul? This is obviously a hidden super boss. It's so terrible. Even he has never heard of it in the Middle-earth immortal realm. Could it be that this Emperor Yi Tian really has a connection with the ancient immortal court? Yes. Yi Junlin smiled playfully, raised his hand and slapped it hard. Ah! Emperor Hun Tian was slapped and flew out like a spinning top, feeling a violent tearing sensation in his soul. In a contest between souls, even a difference of 1 zhong can determine the outcome, not to mention the gap of 1 million zhong now. Yi Junlin rushed over and beat Emperor Hun Tian violently. The scene was like an adult beating a kindergarten child, there was no suspense in terms of strength. Weren't you very awesome just now? Keep going. You still want to take over my body, are you a rubbish? Yi Junlin pressed Emperor Hun Tian to the ground and rubbed him, making him wail continuously, and his soul was about to collapse. Don't hit me. If you keep hitting me, I will die with you. Emperor Hun Tian endured the pain and warned overwhelmed. You dare to threaten me when you are about to die? Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows, and his attack became more intense. Damn it, you forced me to do this. Realizing that his soul was about to be destroyed, Emperor Hun Tian was furious and anxious, and went crazy. Even if he died, he would take someone with him. Great soul explosion technique. Emperor Hun Tian roared hysterically, and a terrifying energy wave burst out from himself. Oh no, he's going to explode. Everyone felt that their souls were violently shaken, and a breath of death filled their hearts. You know, with the size of Emperor Hun Tian's soul, the impact of his soul once he exploded would undoubtedly be very huge. If their souls were only tens of thousands of feet long, they would die. Damn it, you're trying to self-destruct with me. Yi Junlin was completely annoyed. He grabbed the Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor who was about to self-destruct and threw him out with all his strength. Then, he stretched out his big hand, stopped everyone's souls in his palm, and turned his back to resist the impact of the souls after the self-destruction. I'm not willing, The Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor was extremely angry and recalled the past of his life in his mind. The path of cultivation he took was completely different from that of ordinary cultivators, because he had a unique understanding and perception of the soul, which made him like a fish in water in this field. The fighting between cultivators was basically aimed at the physical body, but he was good at attacking people's souls directly, which was a surprise attack. Because once the soul was damaged, it was more serious than the physical body, which led to his fame and frightened countless cultivators. After that, he continued to improve his soul and created his own method of devouring the soul. From then on, he rushed all the way on the immortal road and his realm advanced by leaps and bounds. That year, he broke through the realm of Immortal Venerable and was named Emperor Huntian. He was very proud of himself. Although his reputation was not very good and he was notorious, he was an immortal emperor, so what if he had a lot of black history? Originally, he thought that he could continue to explore the soul path and forge ahead in the realm of Immortal Emperor. Unexpectedly, because of an accidental opportunity, he accidentally encountered the secret of Yuhuasheng, which brought about the supreme killing disaster. Emperor Huntian found that this newly promoted Emperor Yuha was worshipped on the surface and had a very good reputation. In fact, behind the scenes, he was using a very evil technique, which could not only devour countless lives, but also devour the chi between heaven and earth, turning it into a lifeless area. If this trend continues, what terrible end will the immortal world face? The harm of this technique is so great that it is outrageous. Compared with the other party's behavior, his technique of devouring other people's souls is simply child's play. After all, the former not only targets everything in the world, but also the entire world, while the latter only targets the soul, which is essentially a pure killing. After learning this inside story, Emperor Huntian was going to reveal the matter and let the immortal court punish this hypocritical evil cultivator. As a result, he was still discovered and was attacked by Yuhuasheng in the first place. At first, Emperor Huntian was a little panicked, but he had entered the realm of the immortal emperor for a much longer time than the other party, and his cultivation was also better, so he was confident that he could suppress him, or at least fight him 50-50. Never expected it. Yuhuasheng's strength was very terrifying, far beyond his imagination, and the other party's skills were extremely evil, making it difficult for him to resist. Even the soul attack that he was proud of was completely blocked by the other party. In the end, he fled from the Middle-earth immortal realm and had to create this secret realm, wanting to make a comeback by taking over the body of the Tianzhao he favored. Who knew that even this wish was ruthlessly shattered? Boom boom boom. The next second, the soul of Emperor Huntian exploded, and the powerful shock wave shook all directions, spreading like a tide. It must be said that this force was like a punch thrown by Yi Junlin, who was also 30 million feet tall. Yi Junlin, who was hit, felt a heavy blow on his back, a burning pain, but it was not serious. After a while, the scene returned to calm. As for Emperor Huntian, his soul had already been destroyed. Yi Junlin slowly let go of his hand, and everyone stood on his palm, feeling lucky that they had survived the disaster, and felt a palpitation. Looking at this huge face, Kai Shaoshanzun felt very complicated. Finally, he sighed, bowed deeply and said, "Thank you Emperor Yi Tian for saving me. I am grateful." Whether in terms of strength or demeanor, the other party convinced him, and he was willing to bow, and there was nothing to hesitate. "We thank Emperor Yi Tian for helping us." Everyone bowed and said, their tone full of awe and gratitude. "It's just a small favor." Yi Junlin seemed to have some feelings, looking at the passage he came from, which was actually opened at this moment. It must be caused by the death of Emperor Huntian. "Let's go, we can't stay here for long." Then, Yi Junlin and the others hurried out and returned their souls to their bodies in the outside world. Chapter 519, C521 Life and Death Decision. Inside the Immortal Palace. Many people were shocked and opened their eyes again, with bright light in their eyes. They said with lingering fear, "It was a close call after all. I thought they were trapped and would die here, but I didn't expect that they could turn things around at the critical moment." As their thoughts turned, everyone's eyes were focused on the silver-haired young man, with deep awe in their eyes. Being able to reach 30 million feet in the realm of Immortal Venerable is definitely not as simple as it seems. Either the real cultivation is hidden, or the realm has fallen for some reason, but the soul is still in the peak state. No matter which one it is, it indicates the other party's terrifying identity. No wonder he dared to call himself the Emperor of Heaven in the immortal world. The amount of information behind this is terrifying. "Hey, can I use my immortal power?" "Haha, I think so too. Is it because Emperor Huntian is completely dead? Anyway, we are out of danger." When the cultivators noticed the immortal power they could mobilize, they showed surprise on their faces and felt very relieved in an instant. After all, only with immortal power can we protect ourselves. "Great Venerable, rest in peace," the monks said with a sad face, surrounding an old man in a cassock whose soul had been destroyed. Maitreya Immortal Venerable sat cross-legged on the ground, his eyes were empty and his face was numb and dead. Even if his body was well preserved, he could not resist the fact that he was dead after losing his soul. "Haha, this old bald donkey deserves it," Changsheng Patriarch said contemptuously. "Even if this bastard didn't die in there, I will settle accounts with him after I come out." Yi Junlin sneered. He remembered very clearly that this man had murderous intentions against him by relying on his sole advantage. Now, with such an end, it can only be said that he died a good death. Rumble. Suddenly, the immortal palace shook violently, and 5 shining magic weapons emerged, emitting an extremely mysterious Tao rhyme. Look, that's the immortal emperor's weapon. Many powerful people sensed the breath and exclaimed. Each of them had a fiery look in their eyes, and they were eager to rob it, just like a poor beggar who found a rare treasure. As long as they got it, they could change their fate and become prosperous from then on. Who can resist this temptation? Witnessing the appearance of 5 immortal emperor's weapons at the same time. Kai Shao Immortal Venerable's breathing was extremely rapid, and his eyes were as red as a beast. This was the most important goal of his coming this time. As long as he could get an immortal emperor's weapon, he would have the support to sweep away all the immortal venerables, and even have the power to threaten the immortal emperor to some extent. Now, the 5 immortal emperor's weapons appeared together, which was a fatal temptation for him. At this moment, Kai Shao Shanzun caught a glimpse of the silver-haired figure, and he seemed to think of something. The fanaticism in his eyes gradually faded, replaced by a kind of fear. This feeling is like a person with a hot body being poured with a bucket of ice water, and his mind is instantly cleared and his body is cold. No, I can't take it, I will die. Kai Shao Shanzun's scalp numbed and he was secretly frightened. If he had been outside the secret realm before, even if he had learned about Yi Junline's strength, he would still decide to fight to the death for the immortal emperor's weapon. But now, after the turmoil just now, Yi Junline has become extremely mysterious in his eyes, and he is becoming more and more unfathomable. Kai Shao Shanzun is afraid that if he makes any unusual moves, he will be killed on the spot. Because in his opinion, Yi Junline is most likely hiding his cultivation, and he is actually a big shot at the level of the immortal emperor. Besides, the other party had saved his life. He couldn't repay evil with kindness. He had to suppress his inner impulse and give up the right to choose the immortal emperor weapon. Good, these 5 immortal emperor weapons are destined to be with my Buddha. If we get them, my Buddhist sect will prosper. May the Buddha bless us. Who would have thought that the monks who were just mourning for Maitreya Immortal Venerable would change their faces when they saw the 5 immortal emperor weapons appear? At this moment, their eyes flashed with greed, and their bodies were covered by the sacred Buddha light, and they rushed forward with all their strength. Looking for death. Seeing this, Kai Shao Immortal Venerable was furious. Even this Sikh didn't dare to snatch it. What are you guys? In anger, he soared into the sky like a dragon, and used the strongest killing move to bombard the monks who tried to snatch it. Ah! Screams rang out one after another. Those monks were blown up directly, and a cloud of blood mist spread out. You know, they are the only few immortals left in the paradise domain except Maitreya Immortal. As a result, they were all killed in one go by Kai Shao Immortal. As expected of the top super strong man under the immortal emperor, he killed several immortals with all his strength. So strong. Seeing this scene, other cultivators with different intentions were all terrified and dared not act rashly. After killing people, Kai Shao Immortal's anger dissipated a lot. At this time, he seemed to notice something, turned his head and looked, swallowing saliva with difficulty. Just because the 5 immortal emperor weapons were only 100 feet away from him, it was simply within his reach. The atmosphere in the whole venue became anxious. Countless nervous eyes were staring at him, as if waiting for his decision. In fact, the most crucial reason why this group of people did not dare to act recklessly was that Yi Junline was there, which caused them to miss the opportunity to snatch the immortal emperor's weapon. But now the situation has changed suddenly. The only person who can monopolize the 5 immortal emperor artifacts is the closest Kai Shao Shanzun. For a moment, their mood was very complicated. Fellow Taoist Yi, this Changsheng patriarch looked nervous, and sweat overflowed from his palms. He dared not imagine what would happen if Kai Shao Shanzun got the immortal emperor artifact. Don't panic. Yi Junline was calm and composed, with an intriguing smile on his lips. On the surface, he was at a disadvantage because he lost the 5 immortal emperor artifacts, but the actual advantage was still on his side. After all, those 5 immortal emperor artifacts were only of the lower grade according to the fluctuations of the immortal power emitted. But in his hand, he had a top-grade immortal emperor artifact. You know, compared with a legendary top-grade immortal emperor artifact, even 100,000 lower-grade immortal emperor artifacts combined cannot compare. Although this level of immortal emperor artifact will consume a lot of immortal power in the body when it is activated. But if Kai Shao Shanzun dared to have a different mind at this critical moment, Yi Junline would not mind summoning a flying sword to send him off. Now, it depends on what this person chooses. Swish. Kai Xiaoshanzun breathed rapidly, struggling inwardly, and finally raised his hand decisively to grab the 5 Immortal Emperor weapons. These 5 Immortal Emperor weapons are swords, sticks, towers and halberds. They slowly floated in front of Kai Xiaoshanzun, and the whole body made a clanging sound like a golden sword, as if telling the historical years of following Hun Tianxianzun and fighting everywhere. After some careful consideration, Kai Xiaoshanzun turned around with red eyes, his long black hair fluttering, and he stepped heavily, walking in the air as if on flat ground, and came straight to Yi Junlin. The 5 Immortal Emperor weapons surrounded him like stars, causing the momentum he exuded to become 10,000 times more terrifying than before. Boom, a vast sense of oppression was like the sea, instantly covering all the cultivators in the field. Could it be that he is going to? As if they could foresee the battle that was about to happen, everyone was sweating profusely, their backs were cold, and their eyes were full of fear. Seeing this, Yi Junlin shook his head and sighed. Hey, why bother? Chapter 520. C522 Yi Junlin, you are very sensible. At this time, Qi Shao Immortal Lord was surrounded by 5 Immortal Emperor weapons and walked over with unrivaled momentum. Many people were so frightened that they retreated one after another, fearing that they would be involved in the battle. Boom boom boom, with a terrifying aura, Qi Shao Immortal came to the position less than 10 feet away from Yi Junlin. His eyes were dark and unclear, no one knew what he was thinking. The ancestor of immortality felt his scalp numb and said with a worried look on his face, "Fellow Taoist Yi, be careful." He clearly felt that the current Qi Shao Immortal Lord was very powerful and could kill him instantly with just one blow. To a certain extent, this person already has the strength to shake the Immortal Emperor. Hee. Yi Junlin sneered and raised his hand to summon the flying sword to eliminate the biggest threat in front of him. Result. What surprised him was that Qi Shao Immortal Lord did not launch an attack immediately, but directly relieved himself and handed over all 5 Immortal Emperor weapons. Don't get me wrong, sir. I voluntarily handed over the Immortal Emperor artifact. I hope that all the unpleasant things that happened before will be wiped out. Qi Shao Immortal Lord gritted his teeth and made this choice as if he was reluctantly cutting his flesh. His heart seemed to be bleeding. After all, those are 5 Immortal Emperor weapons. With their help, even if you face an Immortal Emperor level figure, you will still be able to fight. Now that I have handed it all over, it would be a lie to say that I don't feel a little heartache and reluctance. But Qi Shao Immortal Master knew that he had to do this. On the one hand, it was because of Yi Junlin's identity that made him unpredictable, and on the other hand, there was a vague voice in his mind, reminding him that if he really took action rashly, he would probably die miserably. After much thought, Qi Shao Immortal Lord decided to voluntarily give up these 5 Immortal Emperor weapons in exchange for Yi Junlin's trust in him. The whole place was silent. Everyone was shocked and couldn't believe that Qi Shao Immortal would do such a thing. Yi Junlin was stunned for a moment, then casually took the 5 Immortal Emperor weapons. After confirming that they were correct, a strange look appeared on his face. Unexpectedly, this guy was quite sensible and didn't seek death like that old bald donkey. As the saying goes, reach out and don't hit the smiling person. Since people expressed such sincerity, it was not easy for him to summon a flying sword to kill them. Immediately, get rid of the murderous intention in your heart. Seeing Yi Junlin accept the Immortal Emperor artifact, Qi Shao Immortal breathed out a sigh of relief, and the uneasiness in his heart completely dissipated. Inexplicably, I felt like I was on a journey through hell. I'm so glad. It seems that what I did is correct. This person did not panic at all from the beginning to the end, and seemed to be completely sure of the response. Qi Shao Immortal was secretly frightened. In that case, I won't argue with you. You can take care of yourself. Yi Junlin waved his hand. Thank you for your understanding. Qi Shao Immortal Lord said sincerely. Although my trip was in vain, I still gained something from getting to know such a big shot. Rumble. At this time, the Immortal Palace was shaking violently and seemed to collapse. No, the secret realm is about to collapse, we have to get out quickly. The face of the ancestor Chengsheng changed. Let's go. Everyone took action one after another, worked together to open the entrance to the secret realm, and filed out. At the same time, the energy vortex behind him was compressing crazily, which meant that the secret realm inside was heading for destruction. After a while, the energy vortex disappeared, leaving only a huge deep pit, which was very conspicuous in the desert. Hey, all the hard work is in vain, many people present looked at the pit and said with a wry smile. I originally thought that there would be a chance to divide the Immortal Emperor artifacts, but now the 5 Immortal Emperor artifacts have fallen into the hands of the same person. They have been acting as foils from beginning to end. Just thinking about it makes me very depressed. However, this time it was a trap set by the Soul Heaven Immortal Emperor. They were lucky enough to be able to come out alive. Your Majesty Etiandi, let's say goodbye. If you find us useful in the future, just ask, no matter how far away we are, we will come over and help you. The giant spirit immortal looked solemn and cupped his hands. That's right, others chimed in, expressing their sincerity. Being able to work for such a powerful being is an opportunity they dream of. It's easy to talk about. Yi Junlin smiled. Seeing this, the ancestor of immortality was shocked, and his eyes changed again and again when he looked at Yi Junlin. You must know that those gathered here are all immortal level experts, the top figures in the northern cold immortal realm. Now, they are all willing to be driven by this young man. One can imagine how huge the energy behind this is. I'll say goodbye. Afterwards, all the immortals surrendered and set off back to their respective realms. Your Majesty Etiandi, why don't you come to our Qishao Immortal sect to stay for a few days and let me fulfill my friendship as a landlord? Qishao Immortal Lord said with a smile on his face. The Kangtian realm is his territory, and the Qishao Immortal sect he founded is also the strongest sect in this realm. Yi Junlin shook his head. That's not necessary. Fellow Taoist Changsheng and I will leave immediately and will not stay here any longer. Oh well, a flash of disappointment flashed in Qishao Immortal Lord's eyes. He also wanted to treat Yi Junlin well and try to get some useful information, but it turned out that Yi Junlin didn't appreciate it at all, so he had no choice but to give up. Farewell. Yi Junlin nodded to the Changsheng Patriarch, and then the two turned and left, turning into 2 bright rainbow lights and galloping away. Farewell, fellow Taoists. Kai Shaoshanzun did not dare to neglect and bowed. It can be said that he did a very good job on the surface. After a long time, recalling what happened this time, Kai Shaoshanzun, standing in the desert, felt particularly complicated. He shook his head and sighed. I thought that in this Beihan immortal realm, my strength was second only to that of the Li family ancestor. I didn't expect that there are people beyond people and heavens beyond heavens. Today, I almost died here because of my ignorance and arrogance. Alas. After saying that, his figure turned into a red light and flew into the sky, disappearing without a trace. Middle-earth Immortal Realm, Yuha Dao Palace. In the attic, a young man in a wide feather robe sat cross-legged on a cushion. He had a handsome face and his skin exuded a warm luster, like a doll carved from jade. His aura was extremely sacred, and behind his head hung a bright golden halo, like a high god, who was worshipped by countless creatures. This person was Yu Washang, and now he was called Yu Washandi. No one expected that a true immortal who ascended in Kunlun realm in the past could grow to this point later. His immortal cultivation career was legendary. However, now, this Yu Washandi, who was highly respected and admired by hundreds of millions of people, was very anxious.